The Radiance of Pokémon wisdom. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351. Rayquaza joins. Kyogre swallowed it in one gulp. At that moment, the whole world seemed to be swallowed up. Zahu's life was hanging by a thread. Kyogre's eyes showed a hint of excitement. It didn't know what the boulder was, but the instinct in its blood told it that, after swallowing this energy wave, it would become very strong. Groudon will never be its opponent. It can even defeat Rayquaza. In an instant, Groudon seemed to have reached the peak of its Pokémon career. However, at the moment, when it was about to swallow the boulder's energy, Zahu's waist flashed red, and an energy stronger than a volcanic eruption suddenly erupted. Kyogre's heavy body was directly blown away, and fell on the thick ice, smashing a deep pit. A pink glow flickered around Zahu, and when the light dissipated, Mewtwo appeared again. Seeing the sudden appearance of Mewtwo, Groudon felt a strong threat. The Pokémon's intuition told it that the Pokémon it just saw was very strong, even stronger than Kyogre. Under the inexplicable threat, Groudon gave up his old rival Kyogre without a second thought. A terrifying golden light of energy condensed in his mouth, and a horrible beam of destruction as thick as a millstone burst out, swallowing Mewtwo. Mewtwo's face suddenly changed. He clearly felt that this opponent was very powerful, and it was definitely not comparable to ordinary Pokémon. He used both hands to build an indestructible energy shield in front of himself and Zahu. The power of the ray of destruction hit the shield and quickly slid away from the surroundings, hitting the ice layer around it, piercing through it, and ice cubes flew. Mewtwo spread his hands and domineeringly divided the energy aftermath to both sides. He then condensed energy in his hands, and a terrifying energy bomb was about to be smashed out. A bone-chilling freezing ray suddenly shot out from behind him. Mewtwo could only throw it backhanded, but it was still hit by the freezing ray, frozen into ice, and fell into the sea. Kyogre, who attacked from behind, was also hit by Mewtwo's wave missile, and was thrown into the sea again. However, he jumped out of the water soon and attacked Mewtwo. Groudon followed suit. Facing the sudden appearance of this powerful enemy, Groudon and Kyogre chose to join forces to fight. One was a freezing ray, and the other was a destruction ray. Neither of them showed mercy. Mewtwo's eyes turned sharp as a blade, and the dark blue superpower turned into substance and spread out. The ice around his body turned into particles and shattered, and then flew out of the sea. The dark blue mental superpower directly hit the brains of Groudon and Kyogre. Although Mewtwo is insignificant compared to Groudon and Kyogre in terms of size, in terms of strength, Mewtwo is the strongest of the three. Groudon and Kyogre suffered heavy blows, and they were in more and more pain. Their strength was even more out of control. Kyogre leaped up, and the entire ocean was boiling. Huge waves rolled, one higher than the other. Although Mewtwo was strong, he was still hit by several waves. Groudon was too bulky and could not control the sea, so most of its attacks were ineffective against Mewtwo. However, it was completely in a rage, manipulating the Magna Land, and countless meteorites fell, further expanding the battle area, almost to the point of affecting the living areas of nearby humans. Zahu was in the center of the battle storm, shivering. Almost every meteorite flew past his body. If it weren't for the strange superpowers, if Mewtwo had the energy to take care of him, he would have been crushed to death by now. The people on the airship were very anxious, and Zaozi was anxious to open the door and release his Pokémon. Satoshi, don't mess around. The battle below is not something that ordinary trainers can participate in. If you don't have the strength of a king, you will only cause trouble. Professor Oak grabbed Satoshi and warned him. King level? I have Suicune and Lucario. Satoshi said. It's useless. Lucario is not suitable for fighting in the water. Although Suicune can, the gap between its strength and Kyogre is too big. It can't fly. At this time, it basically has no combat power. Professor Oak rejected Satoshi's opinion and said to Oak Jincheng, release Dragonite to help Mewtwo. Okay. Oak Jincheng released his Dragonite without thinking and fought with Kyogre. Mr. Fluttery and King Pakara, you both have the strength of a king, right? Hurry up and take action. Professor Oak said. I'm a fire king, and I'm also not suitable for fighting in the water. Pakira shook his head. Me too, but Alan's Charizard has the ability to fly, so he can join, but he needs to Mega Evolve, and the power of Mega Evolution is in the hands of the Water Fleet, said Fladderly. Professor Oak looked at Fladderly and knew that Fladderly was taking this opportunity to take back what Zahu had taken away before, but the situation was critical, so he did not refuse, and he also felt that it was time to return it, so he decided to return it. After Alan got the Mega Evolution bracelet back, he immediately sent out his Charizard to fight Groudon. The others did not take action. Professor Oak saw that there were no more people, so he had to send out his Dragonite as well. 3 flying dragons appeared in the air and fought against Kyogre and Groudon together with Mewtwo, all using their speed advantage to fight in a roundabout way. However, compared with Kyogre and Groudon, who were in a berserker state, Dragonite and Charizard were obviously not opponents. Groudon roared, and dozens of sharp stone pillars containing magna power on the sea surface rose at once, suddenly hitting Charizard and Professor Oak's Dragonite. Charizard screamed and was directly beaten out of its super evolution form, losing its combat power and fainting. Dragonite sank directly into the sea. Island's Charizard is indeed full of potential, but at present, its strength is far from enough, and Professor Oak's Dragonite has been retired for a long time and has not fought for decades, so its combat function has degenerated. Mewtwo, move Charizard and Dragonite to a safe place. Zahu shouted. Mewtwo nodded, and superpower surged, moving Charizard and Dragonite to the ground far away. Mewtwo, release Lalacious on me. Zahu shouted to Mewtwo. Although Mewtwo is stronger than either Groudon or Kyogre in a one-on-one fight, it would be difficult for even Mewtwo to win if the two joined forces. After all, Psychic is best at using Psychic to lift the opponent and then play with them. Groudon and Kyogre are heavier than each other. Lifting one is the limit, let alone lifting two. Mewtwo teleported, dodged Kyogre's attack, and then appeared on Zahu's side. Although it is difficult to defeat Groudon and Kyogre with Psychic, if Mewtwo wants to dodge with Psychic, Groudon and Kyogre, 2 giants, can't hit it at all. His fingers skillfully opened the Pokeball on Zahu's body and released all 5 flying Pokémon, Lalacious, Dragonite, Jenga, and Togekiss. Lalacious, and Jenga appeared beside Zahu and felt the energy of the Mega Evolution Stone. At the same time, dazzling light emerged from their bodies and completed Mega Evolution. Lalacious, you fight Groudon, Dragonite, Togekiss, Jenga, you help Mewtwo fight Kyogre. Zahu shouted from high in the sky. Lalacious and Lalacious completed their super evolution in an instant, and the dragon wave flashed in their mouths, hitting Groudon at the same time, stopping Groudon's attack. Then they used super high speed to fly around Groudon, carrying out harassment tactics, so that Groudon had no time to take care of Mewtwo. On the other side, Dragonite used the rain praying trick, directly bringing down a heavy rain, and then the tentacles on its head flashed with golden light, and the bursting electric current fell directly from the sky to the sea surface. The strong electric current spread throughout Kyogre's body. Kyogre couldn't help but roared, setting off huge waves. Dragonite seemed to be unaware. Although it has no water system, just like Lugia is called the god of the sea, even though it has no water system, it is called the incarnation of the sea, and sea water attacks are nothing to it. The winds vibrated, and the sky was filled with thunder. The rumbling sound resounded through everyone's hearts, bringing heavy depression, and then hundreds of lightning bolts all fell, as if it was a thunder of destruction. Although it can no longer freely control the weather like Dragonite, after evolving into Dragonite, the thunder it can use is more powerful as its strength increases. Kyogre was hit by a strong electric current, and even a trace of burn marks appeared on his body. His eyes showed a strong anger. Before today, he had never thought that in the Hone region, besides Rayquaza and Groudon, there were other Pokémon that could hurt him. In a rage, Kyogre raised a huge wave that spread for thousands of meters, blocking all the thunder. Then he used the root wave again. The bluish-white light seemed to be able to penetrate everything, and directly hit Dragonite in the sky. Dragonite screamed and was knocked down. Kyogre's mouth flashed with ice light, and he was about to burst out a freezing ray to end Dragonite. Mewtwo's teleport was activated instantly, appearing in front of Kaiga, and the powerful superpower directly knocked Kaiga away. Togekiss and Jenga followed and attacked, harassing him in various ways. Zahu could only watch all this, and could do nothing. He even became more and more panicked, because the crystallization had been successful. Zahu tried hard to raise his head, the only part of his body that he could still control freely, and looked up. Sure enough, he saw a green light falling straight down. Chapter 352, The Glory of the Leaf King. A fierce and powerful force came from the sky. Rayquaza flew from outer space. The moment it approached Zahu, a large green light appeared on its body. It almost instantly completed its super evolution. Then, when it saw the super evolved Mewtwo on the side, its eyes suddenly showed a fierce light. Although there were some subtle changes in its appearance, this identical superpower aura proved that Mewtwo was the Pokémon that had been attacking it with blizzards before. Thinking of the previous grievances, Rayquaza roared and was surrounded by a layer of shining green light. It rushed towards Mewtwo at a high speed. Mewtwo built a superpower shield in front of itself without thinking. Mewtwo, don't resist, run away, this is the finishing touch. Zahu saw Mewtwo's actions and shouted anxiously. Mewtwo was a little shocked. He didn't know why Zahu asked it to leave, but the super evolved Rayquaza had already killed in front of him, and there was no room for escape. He directly confronted head-on. Rayquaza's eyes flashed with ferocity, and powerful force burst out, directly breaking through Mewtwo's energy defense, and crashing directly into Mewtwo. Mewtwo was blown away, smashing countless ice along the way, and fell heavily to the ground, as if hit by a meteorite. Kaiga's face suddenly changed. Rayquaza was stronger than expected. He once again left his opponent behind, and launched his strongest attack at Rayquaza, blasting Rayquaza to the side of the ice. Rayquaza was ruthlessly knocked away, but soon he cheered up, and flew into the sky. With golden light shining brightly in his mouth, a fierce sky dragon meteor burst out, and countless energy bombs fell like meteorites, hitting Kaiga, Togekiss, Jenga, Dragonite, Latios, and Groudon. Rayquaza's full strength attack was like destroying the world. Kaiga was smashed into the straight, and Latios, and Jenga were all beaten out of their Mega Evolution forms. Rayquaza made a domineering appearance, fighting a group of enemies alone, and then quickly flew towards Zahu and the Mega Rock, trying to snatch the Mega Rock back to space. Dragonite next to him suddenly pounced out, and used its dragon claws to hit Rayquaza's head, knocking Rayquaza away, and preventing it from hurting Zahu. Rayquaza shook his head in dissatisfaction, looking at Dragonite in front of him with an extremely fierce look, and a purple-black destructive death light burst out of his mouth, hitting Dragonite directly. Dragonite cried out in sorrow, closed his eyes, and was about to fall heavily. It was huge in size, and suffered a lot in the Xianlong meteor just now. It was hit by 3 Xianlong meteors in a row. Although it did not fall into the sea immediately, there was almost no place on its body that was not injured. The previous attack was just to save people, and now it was hit by a destructive death light from Rayquaza. How could it withstand it? Dragonite. Seeing that Dragonite was seriously injured for saving him, Zahu couldn't help but roar. His eyes were full of anger as he looked at Rayquaza. Every part of his body was rioting and struggling. At this moment, the power of his spirit grew to the limit, and a force suddenly burst out from Zahu's body, covering Dragonite. The injuries on Dragonite improved at a speed visible to the naked eye, and then a vast power from ancient times was injected. Dragonite roared, and dazzling golden light flashed all over its body. After the light dissipated, its body expanded by more than 2 times, and its body was covered with golden stripes. Roar. Dragonite roared, and its wings behind it vibrated, and it rushed straight into the sky, sending dragon waves towards Rayquaza. It has been carefully taken care of by Zahu since it was born. Except for being beaten by Dragonite in Yanmo City, it has never suffered any hardship. But today, it was almost beaten to death by Rayquaza here. If it doesn't take revenge, it will never be a dragon. Rayquaza had never thought that Dragonite could have an ancient form. He was shocked and hit by Dragonite's dragon wave. He fell into the sea, but soon flew back into the sky and launched a counter-attack against Dragonite. Although he didn't know how strong Dragonite's super ancient form was, Rayquaza, the king of the super ancient Pokémon in home continent, was not afraid. The two dragon type Pokémon fought fiercely in the air, as if the gods were fighting, and the clouds were turbulent. The crowds around who were watching this scene through TV broadcasts showed extremely shocked expressions. Dragonite has a further evolutionary form? Is this still a Pokémon battle? A group of people were shocked, and didn't know why. Because Rayquaza's Pokémon were too powerful, Professor Oak and his group did not dare to stay in the air anymore. They landed to the side and watched the battle from a distance. They just looked at the style of the super ancient Dragonite in the sky and couldn't help but feel deeply shocked. Groudon and Kyogre also looked up at the battle between Dragonite and Rayquaza. After finding out that, although Rayquaza was powerful, it could not defeat Dragonite for a while, they gave up watching and chose to take the opportunity to grab the Mega Evolution Stone energy. Latios, and Jenga all lost their ability to fight. Mewtwo was severely injured by Rayquaza's full strength attack. Only Togekiss and Oak Jincheng's Dragonite, who were not injured, were almost useless. Zahu was anxious and wanted to release his own Pokémon. At that moment, the Pokéball on his waist flashed red, and Entei and Leaf King all appeared in front of Groudon. Zahu was slightly stunned, not understanding why these two Pokémon came out automatically when he just thought about it. His eyes turned, vaguely realizing something, staring at Leaf King, and shouted, "Leaf King, return to your original power." As soon as the voice fell, a dazzling light burst out from Zahu's body and directly injected into Leaf King's body. If the assumption is correct, after receiving this power, the King of Leaves should have a drastic change, truly worthy of its 670 race value. With the infusion of light, the King of Leaves was bathed in golden light, and his originally lazy eyes quickly became sharp and energetic, as if a prehistoric beast that had been sleeping for a long time had awakened. The brown hair turned dark black, and the body suddenly increased from 2 meters to 5 meters, a height that could be level with the original Groudon. Roar. The King of Leaves roared loudly, as if he had fully exerted all the energy that had been hidden for countless years. His right fist flashed with white light, and he punched Groudon in the chest with full power, knocking Groudon back a step, and the whole earth trembled. The original Groudon roared angrily, his whole body flashing with light, and sharp cliff swords protruded from the ground. The King of Leaves stomped his feet fiercely, and a terrifying earthquake wave emanated, crushing in all directions, smashing all the cliff swords to pieces. The two mountain-like monster Pokémons fought fiercely, unleashing their respective powers without reservation, shaking the earth. Entei was completely helpless in this battle, and jumped to Professor Oak's side in fear to save his life. Professor Oak and others were shocked again. Ozzy and the others who had no knowledge were fine, but Professor Oak and other professional scholars felt that their three views that they had held for many years began to explode. Not good. Kyogre, without Pokémon to restrain him, is now attacking the boss, Kajiro said nervously. Professor Oak and others' faces suddenly changed. Seeing that Kyogre was ignored, they took the opportunity to fish and approached Zahu. Zahu's face changed, but at this time, he no longer had a suitable Pokémon in his hand. Just when Zahu was a little desperate and felt powerless, a huge wave suddenly hit and knocked Kyogre down. Not far away, an extremely huge Gyarados came riding the wind and waves. Chapter 353 The Final Battle at Sea. Giant Gyarados. Zahu was overjoyed. In order to breed, the giant Gyarados temporarily gave up traveling with him in the Orange Islands, and promised to travel with him after the child was born, but for various reasons, it never came. Now it has finally arrived at the most critical moment. Roar. The giant Gyarados still roared first, and then rushed straight to Kyogre. Although it temporarily stopped traveling with Zahu, because it wanted to leave offspring, in the heart of the giant Gyarados, Zahu is the well-deserved first. And Kyogre just wanted to swallow Zahu, which made it completely unacceptable. Twisting its huge and bloated body, it attacked Kyogre. Seeing that Gyarados dared to attack it, Kyogre's anger became even more boiling. It is the creator of the sea, and Gyarados, a water-type Pokémon, dared to attack it. Kyogre, who was furious, immediately used the root wave to counterattack the giant Gyarados. The two giants turned the sea upside down, stirring up the entire sea. Ice light flashed in Kyogre's mouth, and a freezing ray shot out, directly hitting the giant Gyarados and knocking it back. Gyarados, don't be afraid. Next, absorb the new power I give you. Zahu's thoughts surged, and a strange colorful light burst out from his body again, covering the whole body of Gyarados. Bathed in the light, Gyarados became a little slimmer and looked more ferocious. With a roar, the airwaves around him rolled, and Kaiga had the illusion of being suppressed for a moment. But soon, Kaiga's primitive wildness burst out, and he shot a freezing ray at Gyarados, but Gyarados actually flew directly into the air, dodging Kaiga's freezing ray, and then opened his big mouth, and a destructive death ray hit Kaiga's head head-on. Zahu was surprised. His own Gyarados was really going to take off. The appearance after Super Evolution was similar to the appearance of Gyarados Super Evolution in his memory, but not exactly the same, and it was much thinner than in his memory. An intuition told Zahu that after his Gyarados super evolved, it would still have the dual attributes of water and dragon. Only with the dragon attribute could it explain why Gyarados could fly. Zahu sent out all three main forces, land, sea and air, to fight against the three great beasts of Hone, and none of them were at a disadvantage. Seeing this, although he was still trapped inside, Zahu couldn't help but smile. Seeing his Pokémon become powerful was the most proud thing for a trainer. Of course, Zahu also knew that his three Pokémon could only fight against the three of Rayquaza with a lot of tricks. Before Kaiga and Groudon fought against the giant Gyarados and Primal King, they had already experienced several battles, and both their physical strength and mental strength were affected. As for Rayquaza's finishing touch just now, although it seriously injured Mewtwo, after using that move, Rayquaza's combat effectiveness was obviously reduced a lot, and it no longer had the ability to defeat Dragonite with one move, not to mention that when Rayquaza just came down, Groudon and Kaiga besieged it for a while. But even so, it can prove that these Pokémon of his are already stronger than the general sense. Fladilly witnessed everything and frowned slightly. There was a person in the boulder, so it would be troublesome to transport him back to the Kalos region. At least the people of Hone would not let their champion be sent away with him. But on the other hand, this was his only chance. Otherwise, when Zahu came out, he would have no chance. Looking at Zahu's three Pokémon of land, sea and air, Fladilly was very sure. As soon as the thought flashed through his mind, Fladilly suddenly felt a slight chill in his body. A piercing chill came over him. He looked up at the sky and found that it had snowed in the sky without knowing when. It's Articuno. Zyos, he shouted in surprise. Zahu in the boulder felt a familiar call he had not seen for a long time. He looked up and saw two figures flying in the sky in the distance. One was icy and cold, and the other controlled wind and thunder. Articuno, Lugia. Zahu smiled slightly. They are finally here. In this case, there is really no need to panic. First, beat up the three idiots of Hone, and then figure out how to get out. Zahu closed his eyes, and the whole person seemed to turn into ice. The frozen bird in the sky was wrapped in a burst of ice and snow. The ice crystals turned into power and instantly completed the super evolution, and also handed over the control of the body to Zahu. Zahu controlled the frozen bird to respond to Lugia. Lugia flew out and fought against Rayquaza together with Dragonite. The golden light flashed in his mouth, and the overbearing and terrifying destructive death light sprayed towards Rayquaza's head, injuring Rayquaza. Seeing this, Dragonite used a Dragon God dive without thinking, and a purple dragon phantom appeared on his body. The originally honest expression became full of aggression, and it hit Rayquaza like a meteorite. Rayquaza let out a painful roar, as if venting the pain, and as if accusing Dragonite and Lugia of 2 against 1. Shameless. Lugia and Dragonite looked disdainful, as if saying, if you have the ability, you can also find a companion. Rayquaza was furious, and a large green light appeared on his body. He used the finishing touch again, and attacked Dragonite and Lugia. Dragonite and Lugia were not afraid at all. They used Dragon God Dive at the same time, and pounced on Rayquaza, fighting with Dragonite and Lugia. The three Pokémon fought fiercely in the sky, like three meteorites colliding with each other, bursting with shocking brilliance. The three Pokémon lost their power, and fell at the same time. Lugia swung its huge wings, and a terrifying airflow rose from below, dragging itself and Dragonite. Rayquaza followed suit, manipulating the airflow around to support its body, but just as it stabilized its body, a sharp cold light suddenly shot out and covered Rayquaza's whole body in an instant. Rayquaza froze all over, revealing a painful expression. At this moment, it seemed that even its soul was frozen, and its body fell straight down, leaving the super evolution state and returning to its original appearance. Next, attack Kyogre! Zahu shouted. Dragonite, Lugia, and Articuno immediately rioted, swooping down at high speed to attack Kyogre. Kyogre roared, and a bluish-white light condensed on his body, piercing through sharply. Purple dragon phantoms appeared again on Dragonite and Lugia, ferocious and fierce, directly breaking through the root wave, crashing into Kyogre, and knocking Kyogre into the sea. Then, Dragonite and Lugia all dived into the sea, not caring about the enemy being desperate. Primal Kyogre is an extender of the sea, using the gift of rain to expand the area of the ocean, but it is not the only king of the sea. Lugia, the guardian of the sea god in the hearts of humans. Dragonite, the incarnation of the sea. Among Pokémon, it is the only two Pokémon with multiple scale attributes. Cooperate with the giant Gyarados, the overlord of the water, to beat Primal Kyogre together. Soon, 3 Pokémon of Lugia flew out of the sea at the same time, causing a huge wave. Then Kyogre floated out of the water with his belly facing up, also losing his fighting power, and exiting the original return state. He has won consecutive victories against Rayquaza and Kyogre. How strong are this guy's Pokémon? Shu Wutong, who was watching, looked at Zahu in disbelief. Rayquaza and Kyogre have fallen, and Groudon won't be far behind. Kai Yansong smiled bitterly and looked at Shu Wutong. The two old rivals actually felt a sense of sympathy for each other at this time. After chasing Pokémon for most of his life, he found that he couldn't control it at all, and now he was defeated by a trainer who was less than 18 years old. Next, Groudon. Zahu didn't have time to care about the mood of Kai Yansong and the other two, and continued to shout loudly. The 4 Pokémon of Lugia flew up at the same time, and launched a storm-like attack on Groudon. With the cooperation of the original King of Leave, the result of 5 against 1 was self-evident. Soon, Groudon also exited the original state and fell to the ground, and returned to its original state. The 3 gods of Hone all lost their ability to fight. At this moment, the boulder suddenly flashed with perfect brilliance, and Zahu's body was separated from it, shining with dazzling brilliance. Dragonite and Leaf King all left their original states, and returned to their original appearances. When the light dissipated, Zahu and the boulder fell down at the same time. Articuno and Lugia flew over quickly. Articuno dragged Zahu, and Lugia dragged the boulder. Chapter 354 Shocking Alliance. In the Hone region, in the waters of Kansas City, the legendary Pokémon, Rayquaza, Kyogre, and Groudon, fought a thrilling battle for a mysterious boulder. The 3 Pokémon fought like the gods in the legend. Kyogre expanded the area of the sea, and called the wind and rain, while Groudon controlled the earth and spewed magma. They all showed the terrifying power of the ancient Pokémon and almost destroyed Kansas City. Fortunately, at the last critical moment, the newest champion of the Hone region, Zahu, controlled the legendary Pokémon Lugia, Articuno, Latios, as well as Dragonite, Absentee, and Gyarados, who had also completed Mega Evolutions, to defeat the 3 legendary Pokémon of Hone, and bring new peace to the Hone continent. At present, the 3 legendary Pokémon Rayquaza have returned to their respective regions, but the boulder that caused the fight still exists, and it is suspected that it contains infinite possibilities for Pokémon to evolve infinitely. Researchers from all over the league are gathering in the Hone region. It is reported that the researchers will study a method to make all Pokémon super evolve, and super evolve forever. In Kanto, Johto, Hone, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, Galar and other regions, streets, and alleys, all channels are broadcasting the same content. It has aroused heated discussions among countless scholars, trainers and even ordinary people. In a simple cafe in the Kalos region, 3 people dressed differently saw this scene, and showed completely different expressions. Brother Zahu, you are already the champion, and you have defeated the 3 legendary Pokémon. The hedgehog-headed boy among the 3 said. Lugia, Mewtwo, Articuno, Primal Dragonite, Primal Leaf King, Megalacious, Mega Gyarados. Oh my god, why do you put such people in Kanto? I want to win the Kanto and Johto double championships. A red-haired young man next to the boy looked at Zahu's powerful Pokémon on the screen and said helplessly. He, the last elegant young man among the three people, holding a glass of red wine in one hand, looked at the screen and didn't even bother to say anything. These three people are Xiaomao, Watari, and Daigo. Xiaomao came to the Kalos area to dig stones and participate in the competition. On the way, he met Watari. Because of the relationship with the Oak Jincheng, they went together. Then in the process of digging stones, he also met Daigo, who was also digging stones, and then the three of them traveled together. In a sense, Xiaomao has also reached the peak of his life. At the same time, there are two champions as companions for travel. Although one is a former champion. But this kind of thing is really unprecedented. Xiaomao, I won't accompany you on the next trip. I'm going to the Hone region first. But I'll watch your competition in the Kalos region on TV. I hope you'll be the winner then. Du said. Got it. Thank you, Mr. Du. And when you go back, please say hello to brother Zahu and grandpa for me. Xiaomao said. Knowing that something like the super evolution of Pokémon has come out, a champion like Du must be unable to sit still. If he didn't have to participate in the competition, he would also want to go back. Daigo, what about you? Du asked. Next, I'll go to the Alola region and dig for more Z crystals. Daigo said, you're not going back? Du said in surprise. Zahu's Pokémon is so ridiculous now. If I go back, am I going to die? Let's finish digging the stones first. As for the super evolution, my dad is in Hone. I'll know what I should know. Daigo said, it was not easy to pass on the burden of the champion to someone else. Why go back? Okay, then I'll go back alone on Dragonite. But I'll probably get scolded by President Damalanchi after I go back. It's really a pity to come to Kalos this time. Xiaomao found the Mega Evolution Stone of Blastoise, and you found the Mega Evolution Stone of Metagross, but I didn't find anything. Du said with a distressed look on his face. This fake was in vain. Don't be so nagging. You didn't find Dragonite and another evolution of Charizard, but didn't you catch a land shark? Together with Dragonite and the successfully evolved Salamander in your hand, you have 3 dragon-type quasi gods. Daigo said unhappily. So what? Land Shark's final evolution, Garchomp, is a ground-type dragon, and it is still restrained by the ice-type quadruple. I came here to catch a smelly dragon. Du said. Please don't waste the Malugo, okay? Although Garchomp doesn't have a flying system, it can still fly, which is just right for you as a flying master. Malugo can't fly, so it's a waste to give it to you. Daigo complained mercilessly. Watari's face darkened, staring at Daigo and said, do you want to have a fight? It doesn't matter, it's a parting gift. Daigo said with a relaxed look. Since he became famous, he has not lost a single game, except the one with Zahu, which he deliberately lost. Pokémon duels are never in vain. On the other side, on an unknown ocean, Genji, who was sailing on a large ship, heard the broadcast on the radio and said calmly, return home. In a similar situation, Mukali, who had been diving into the Sinnoh region since leaving Johto and holding a gorgeous competition tour in various places, also chose to leave immediately after seeing it on TV. With the spread of countless news, scholars and kings from various regions all flocked to the Hone region. At this moment, at the headquarters of the Hone Regional Alliance, President Damalanchi and Branch President Darklanli, 2 old men, were arguing with each other. Stop talking nonsense. Zahu is the champion of our Hone region, and the Mega Evolution Stone was also found in our Hone region. They all belong to our Hone Alliance. Don't even think about taking them away. President Darklanli glared at President Damalanchi. President Damalanchi jumped directly onto the table, staring at President Darklanli and said, you are talking nonsense. Zahu is our Johto Reserve King, a famous doctor in Kanto, and has been cultivated by us in Kanto since he was a child. Staying in your home is a joke. As for the Mega Evolution Stone, that is our Kanto's mission, and the thing should naturally be given to us in Kanto. Preparatory king means we are not kings yet. We are already champions, and it is also registered. As for the mission, don't be funny. Did you Kanto pay anything throughout the whole process? President Doc Landley said. Registered. So what? I'm going to promote someone from your Hana alliance right now. I'll take the stuff with me. Damalanki said. I reject your promotion order. President Doc Ranley said. Doc Ranley, you're going to make things difficult for me, right? Damalanki's eyes were full of sparks. So what? President Doc Ranley stared at Damalanki. Although Damalanki jumped onto the table, he was half a body taller than Damalanki, so he could still look at him straight. The other members in the meeting room were a little trembling, and they didn't dare to intervene in the quarrel between the two presidents. However, they all agreed with the opinions of their respective presidents. At the age of 17, he could defeat the super evolved Rayquaza and the primitive Groudon Kyogre. Would it be stupid not to keep such a talent? Besides, Zahu now has the super evolved stone in his hand. Getting Zahu is equivalent to getting the super evolved stone. The importance of getting the super evolved stone to an alliance is self-evident. Concessions do not exist. Chapter 355, Zahu's Escape. Master, is it really okay for us to come out like this? On the airship, Haoi looked at Zahu with a cowardly face. Why are you panicking? Now President Damalanchi and President Darklandly are both like crazy. If I stay there, I will also go crazy. It's great to go out for a walk. Zahu leaned on the seat of the airship without caring. But, we also brought out the Mega Evolution Stone. Haoi said, wait a minute, pay attention to your words. What do you mean by bring out? Is this the alliance's? No, it's mine, okay. I have the right to decide how to use it. Zahu said unhappily. The mission of the Hana Alliance was just to let him go undercover in the water fleet. Now that the water Wutang has become honest and does not intend to capture Kyogre again, the mission is a complete success. As for the Mega Evolution Stone, it is beyond the mission. Zahu almost never used the power of the Alliance and used the power of the water fleet to obtain it. The ownership belongs to Zahu. How to study it is Zahu's business. Whether it is the Hana Alliance or the Kanto Alliance, none of them have the qualifications to interfere. Especially now, since Zahu merged with the Mega Evolution Stone once, he has a strange connection with the Mega Evolution Stone. Before this connection is studied clearly, handing it over to the Alliance? Don't even think about it. Right, this is what the boss exchanged for with his life, so it should belong to the boss. Then we will use this as the core to conduct research and wholesale a large number of products related to the Mega Evolution of Pokémon. In this way, we can make a lot of money. Meow. Meow Meow said excitedly. That's right, make a lot of money. Kajiro also said excitedly. Wind Bell swayed beside Kajiro, making a clear and pleasant sound, as if responding to Kajiro. After hearing this, Kajiro immediately showed an intoxicated expression and said, sure enough, the sound of Wind Bell is the most beautiful. Wind Bell also showed an excited expression. The sound of the bell was clear and pleasant, and the ribbon was swung, covering Kajiro's eyes. Kajiro was happy and screaming in resistance. Seeing this, Zahu shook his head with an expression of hopelessness. Ever since he gave the wind chime to Kajiro, Kajiro has been like a 17 or 18-year-old boy who has just started to fall in love and is immersed in love. Zahu has become more and more disgusted with him and even began to regret giving the wind chime to Kajiro. Brother Zahu, we are almost at Izabe Island now. Zyraksha asked excitedly. Why do you want to participate in the gorgeous competition on Izabe Island so much? Zahu smiled. Yes, Zyroao and I already have 4 ribbon medals, and we only need 1 ribbon medal to participate in the gorgeous large-scale celebration in the near future. Zyraksha said. 4 already, not bad. I haven't watched the large-scale celebration in person yet. This year's large-scale celebration. I look forward to your performance. Zahu said. I will. Zyraksha and Zyroao said in unison. Work hard, and let me see the next gorgeous conference. Zahu said. One of the reasons why he escaped from the alliance was to take Zyraksha and Zyroao to participate in the gorgeous competition on Izabe Island. After all, Kana City is quite far from Izabe Island. If this group of people were to travel on foot, it is estimated that by the end of the large-scale celebration, these 2 people would not have collected all the ribbon medals. The airship flew through the clouds and finally arrived at Izabe Island after a long journey. Zyuxia and Zyuoyao did a simple warm-up and simple training with their Pokémon to prepare for the next game. Zahu did not leave the airship, but walked to the door of the laboratory, knocked on the door, and then went in. Looking at Professor Oak, who was staring at the boulder without blinking, he said, "Teacher, whether we study or not, the boulder is here. There is no need to be so anxious. Why don't you come out and relax? Don't come on. If you are not nervous, why did you bring the boulder out?" Professor Oak asked back. "Isn't it that the people of the Alliance hacked our boulder?" Zahu said. "Have some confidence in the Alliance. We are the official and formal organization of the Glory, not a vicious underground organization." Professor Oak said. "The Glory organization is even more unruly when it comes to cannibalism." Zahu said. "So you brought the boulder out to let the Alliance know who has the initiative now?" Professor Oak said. "No, I just saw them discussing it over and over, as if I must become the champion and hand over the boulder. However, I don't want to be the champion, and I have no interest in handing over the boulder," Zahu said. "But both of these things are not easy. Doc Ranley finally found a suitable person to be the champion, and they will definitely not let you go easily. As for the boulder, it is indeed a trouble. The Alliance has no reason to let you hand it over. If they use force against you, they can't beat you on a small scale. If they win on a large scale, it will not be worth a loss. But they will definitely not let you go easily, even if they don't know that Gyarados has achieved eternal super evolution through this boulder," Professor Oak said. "In fact, Gyarados' eternal super evolution is only partially related to the energy of the boulder. The boulder gave Gyarados the energy wave of super evolution, making it possible for super evolution. Then I injected Kyogre's ocean power in the red gem, plus the strange dragon power on the super evolution boulder, so that Gyarados can achieve eternal super evolution. This is unrepeatable, unless I get another red gem." Zahu shook his head. So far, no outsiders know that Zahu's Gyarados has achieved eternal super evolution. Professor Oak and Zahu's theory on super evolution has also been improved. The essence of super evolution is to activate the original power in the genes of Pokémon, break through the restrictions, and further obtain the gift of nature. The original rules and restrictions can only be a short-term breakthrough of super evolution. But after absorbing Kyogre's power, it really evolved completely. It is an excellent evolution in genetic evolution. According to Zahu's prediction, if the theory is suitable, combined with the super evolution boulder, plus the original power of the corresponding attribute beast, and a little divinity, eternal super evolution can be achieved. Just like how Ho-Oh created 3 Entei out of thin air, and made them into mythical beasts. Of course, this theory is only speculation at present, and there are not enough examples, so Zahu has not planned to announce it yet. But Leafking and Dragonite have also obtained incredible powers, and you also have the power of Groudon's Fire and Earth, right? Professor Oak said. Leafking and Dragonite are exactly the same cases, and you must have the red and blue orbs. Mewtwo said that the 4 powers in my body, I have almost studied them now. One is the original power, one is the power of Groudon, one is the power of Kyogre, and the last one is the power of ancient magic, which is the same as the power that sealed the Mega Evolution boulder, so I was sucked in. Now, except for the power of Groudon, all the 4 powers in my body have been dispersed. As for the power of Groudon, it will be soon. If I can't find a suitable one, I will transmit the fire and earth separately. One Entei takes the fire, and then find a random earth Pokémon to infuse the earth. Zahu said. You should wait a while before infusing Groudon's energy, and then you can use it as a final negotiation technique. However, you are wrong about one thing. The Ruby and Sapphire orbs are not unique. Professor Oak said. Not unique? Zahu said in surprise. It is not recorded that it is unique, so it is not necessarily unique. And even if the Ruby and Sapphire orbs are unique, there are similar treasures. In the Sinnoh region, Dialga and Palkia's white jade orbs and diamond orbs are not inferior to the Ruby and Sapphire orbs. Professor Oak said. That's true, so I left partly for this reason. Otherwise, it's okay for the Leafking and Dragonite to master the primal return freely now, but it's hard for Gyarados to hide, and once it is exposed, the group of people in the Alliance will be in trouble. Zahu shook his head and said. Okay, with the power of the few in your hands and the prestige of an old man like me, unless you want to leave the alliance, no one can force you to make a decision, and you are not like Shu Wutang and others who want to establish their own organization, and the old guys in the alliance will understand. Professor Oak said. Maybe, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll form one. Zahu said. Then you have to have money first. Professor Oak said. I will have it. Zahu said firmly. It's up to you, but Zahu, just because we've left the alliance doesn't mean our mission is easy. Apart from research on super evolution and megaliths, there's also Mew. Junk couldn't get over it and committed suicide. Now the Phantom system is considered to be illegally occupied by you, so you have to take care of Mew. This Mew is no longer data in the general sense, but a real Pokémon with self-awareness. After I go back, I'll find a way to build a real body for it, and it will become a real Mew. Professor Oak looked at the Phantom Mew floating in the air. When Phantom Mew heard that it could have a real body and become a real Pokémon, it showed a happy expression and floated beside Professor Oak, expressing its happy mood. Don't talk about illegal possession, okay? That was a mission issued by Shu Wutang. As for beating Jung, he beat you, and if I don't torture him, I'm crazy. And this is not something that can be solved now. Finally, the undercover issue has been resolved, and I feel much more relaxed. Just think of it as accompanying me to relax. Zahu said. Okay. Dr. Oak smiled. Chapter 356 Harry's Tricks. After a wonderful review, the following 4 contestants have finally passed the review and entered the second round of inspection. Zyuksha, Zioyao, Harry, and Kent. The host of the grand competition was explaining the competition diligently. Zahu sat in the audience and enjoyed the show. After experiencing the earth-shattering battle in the sea area of Kansas City, watching a grand competition was really the best pastime. The next first game is Zioyao vs. Kent. As the voice fell, Zioyao and Kent on the opposite side each released their own Pokémon. Zioyao released Bulbasaur, and Kent released Yo-Yo. Pokémon of the same weight, usually only in the grand competition. Can you see such a duel? The Alliance Regional Conference usually does not send such a main force. Hanoi, take a closer look. The game between these two little cuties is still quite pleasing to the eye. These few days, I will take you to visit the homeland and collect more Pokémon, such as the Violent Salamander and the Alola Coconut Tree. I didn't even think of giving high scores when I saw them. Zahu said. Master, the gorgeous contest mainly looks at the gorgeousness of the Pokémon's special moves, not a beauty contest. And being ferocious is also a kind of beauty. Heyo, I retorted weakly. Just like Harry just now, let Mingonia make a skull. Such a non-mainstream aesthetic, don't learn it randomly, it's like a transvestite. Zahu said. It's very immoral to talk about people behind their backs. Zahu, what you said is not in line with your status as a doctor and champion. Professor Oak corrected. Isn't there no outsider? What champion Halo? It's all a lie. Zahu said indifferently. Huh? What's wrong with Zioyao? It's like a fool not to command Bulbasaur. Yo-Yo is good at gliding, and its speed is not slow at all. Although Bulbasaur is also very agile, its speed is not as fast as Yo-Yo. Kajiro looked at the game with a strange look on his face. Zahu frowned when he heard it. On the field, Yo-Yo was skating at high speed, while Zioyao's Bulbasaur was suppressed almost the entire time. Strange, why is Zioyao giving orders? Zios, he also said with a puzzled look. Maybe someone tricked him. Although I don't have much contact with Zioyao, based on the contact I have had these days, I can be sure that Zioyao is really easy to fool, even easier to fool than you. Zahu said. Yes, Zioyao is really easy to fool. Zios, he nodded in agreement, and then quickly reacted and said, brother, you said easier to fool than me, am I easy to fool? Zahu glanced at Ziosi and gave him a look that showed his own understanding. Who gave you the confidence to ask this question? In the animation, you are fooled by the 3 clowns of Team Rocket in almost every episode. The IQ of the 3 clowns of Team Rocket has always been on the edge of the passing line, and you were fooled by them. I really can't calculate your IQ. Zioyao finally reacted and is going to win. Zyanagang suddenly screamed, attracting the attention of a group of people again. Zahu looked up and saw that Zioyao's Bulbasaur was showing its power. It used Flower Dance and Leaf Blade with good timing, combining the beauty of Flower Dance and Leaf Blade perfectly to suppress Yo-Yo. In the end, it won with a slight advantage. Seeing this, Zahu couldn't help but secretly gasp. If Zioxia is equivalent to Zios's guide and does not participate in the competition, so there is almost no female protagonist Halo bonus, then Zioyao's Halo is really a bit big. Under normal circumstances, no matter how she waves, she can steadily press the line and survive the review with the last place. Then, if she does not meet a set strong opponent Zacian, she will basically not lose in the second showdown of the gorgeous competition. If it were not for the fact that the main character Halo would fail in the finals because of the growth of Pokémon, Zioyao might have won the large-scale celebration championship at once. Next, it's Zioxia and Mr. Harry. I don't know who will win. Ziasheng said. Mr. Harry? Zahu raised his eyebrows and looked at a man wearing the same green clothes as the scarecrow, with lavender hair and a coquettish aura, who appeared on the field with a strange look on his face. Although he had forgotten some unimportant plots, because of the long time, he still remembered Zioyao's rivals. One was Zacian, who was considered to be Zioyao's CP, and the other was Mr. Harry. Compared with Zacian's real strength, although this Harry was quite strong, he often used various tricks. In short, when Zahu saw it at the beginning, he felt that this Harry had a problem with his brain. So he was not polite at all when he evaluated just now. On the field, Zioxia and Mr. Harry were in opposition. Zioxia also stared at Harry with a bad look and said, Zioyao told me just now that you deliberately lied to her. Why did you do this? No reason. It's just that those of you who treat the gorgeous competition as a game are not qualified to participate in the gorgeous competition. Mr. Harry said. He would not admit that it was because Zioxia and Zioyao only used the evaluation of quite delicious when eating his cookies and did not use the evaluation of super delicious, so he felt unhappy. Treating the grand contest as a game. You wanted to win by dirty means, and in fact, you tarnished the glory of the grand contest. I will avenge Zioyao. Zioxia gritted her teeth. Do you have the strength to do that? Harry threw the Pokeball, and a half-human high Dreamgonia appeared on the field, revealing a ferocious expression. Dreamgonia, this is the evolved form of Desert Gonia. Kajiro frowned. That's right, but after the evolution, it is not only ugly, but it will not be able to hug you when it becomes bigger. Your Desert Gonia probably won't evolve. Zahu said. Yes, after the evolution, it is really ugly. Kajiro said with disdain. Zahu looked at Kajiro's disdainful expression and suddenly realized something. Most of Zios's Pokémon are cute, and he doesn't force Pokémon to evolve. He was even complained about by some Cloud players and viewers. However, in every season, it seems that Kajiro is the only one who has not evolved, except for the evolution of Gas Bomb into Double Bomb Gas in the first season, and the evolution of Venusaur in the breeding house. All other Pokémon have not evolved. Right now, because of me, there are a few more Pokémon, but except for Pidgeot's evolution into Pidgeot, the rest of the Pokémon are all motionless. This guy's really a life trainer who follows the emotional style. Boss, what are you looking at? Kajiro was puzzled by Zahu's look. Nothing, it's just that you are a real trainer and the best companion of Pokémon. Zahu said. I think so too. Kajiro said proudly. Zahu rolled his eyes, too lazy to pay attention to Kajiro's pride, and continued to watch the game. Zioxia threw the Pokeball, posed in a cool pose and said, come out, my blue sweetheart. A flash of red light, Gyarados appeared domineeringly, roared, and was full of deterrence. Although it can't be compared with Zahu's huge Gyarados, it is equally imposing. Mingonia, use the seed machine gun. Harry took the lead in issuing an attack command. Golden light flashed in Mingonia's mouth, and large pieces of golden light shot out like bullets, and the machine gun swept a lot. Gyarados, storm. Zioxia said. Gyarados roared, and the open field suddenly blew up. A huge tornado erupted, enveloping all of Mingonia's seed machine guns. The various light points of the seed machine guns flew rapidly in the storm, shining against each other. For a moment, it was beautiful. Although Mingonia avoided Storm's attack with its good speed, the exquisite beauty displayed by Storm won unanimous praise from the 3 judges. After deducting some points from Zyraksha, they also deducted nearly a quarter of Harry's points. Then spray the flames. Zyraksha shouted. Gyarados' huge body suddenly leaned forward, opened its mouth, and flames shot out, knocking Mingonia down heavily, and Harry's score was deducted by half again. How is it? Who is too weak and unqualified to be a coordination trainer? Zyraksha looked at Harry proudly and said. Harry's face changed drastically, showing an angry expression and said, "You actually dared to do it? Nonsense. This is a competition. Fighting with all your strength is a duty of a trainer. And you are plotting against Zyraksha behind her back, playing tricks, let alone becoming a master coordinator trainer. You are not even qualified to be a basic trainer." Zyraksha said. Playing tricks? Harry calmly pressed a remote control in his pocket, and a small radiator that had been placed on the upper layer directly projected a lifelike green caterpillar. Ah! Zyraksha screamed, and the command she had originally thought of was so frightening that she couldn't issue it. Mingonia, use poison needles. Harry seized the opportunity to launch a special attack. Mingonia's body was covered with spikes flashing, and a large number of poison needles flashing with purple light shot at Gyarados. Gyarados screamed in pain, and an abnormal purple color appeared on his face. Where is this green caterpillar projection? And how did Harry know that Zyraksha was afraid of green caterpillars? Zyanagang said in surprise. I told Mr. Harry that he used to be very afraid of Pokémon, so I told him that Misty was very afraid of bug Pokémon. Zyanagang said with a guilty look. You must be on guard against others, be more careful next time. Zahu glanced at Zyanagang and said that the 2 siblings were really well protected. Fortunately, the people in this world are generally simple and honest, otherwise they would have been sold to who knows where. However, watching the game in the field, Zahu couldn't help but frowned. Misty was too afraid of bug Pokémon. Although it was just an illusion, it was still affected instinctively. Gyarados was also beaten all over, and the score dropped rapidly. Zyraksha, don't be afraid, overcome your fear, believe in Gyarados, and win this game. Zyraksha suddenly stood up and shouted. Zyraksha turned her head and looked at Zyraksha, but still couldn't help trembling. It was fake to say that she was not afraid. Zyraksha, believe in yourself, you are Gyarados, Gyarados is you, believe in yourself is to believe in Gyarados, overcome these. Zyraksha shouted. Zyraksha, what did you say? You are the Gyarados. Although Zyraksha was a little scared, she still retorted rudely. Even if she was not afraid of Gyarados now, she didn't want to be a Gyarados. If she was a mermaid. Little girl, you are quibbling. I can tell from your appearance that you are vulgar and ugly, just a typical Gyarados. Oh no, I should call you little Gyarados. Harry took the opportunity to mock. What did you say? Hearing that Harry dared to mock her for being vulgar and ugly, Zyraksha's face changed instantly, like a volcano about to erupt. Harry was calm and pressed the switch again. However, Zyraksha, who was in a rage, ignored the illusion and shouted, Gyarados, destroy the death ray. The appearance was ferocious, more Gyarados than Gyarados, and scared the opposite Mingonia, and then was directly killed by Gyarados' destruction of Death Ray, and crashed into Harry, and the Pokémon and Harry were knocked off the stage together. Chapter 357 Team Flare's Plan. Now, the conference will award the Prigga Ribbon Medal to Misty and Gyarados. The champions of the Pokémon Grand Prigga tournament are Misty and Gyarados. After defeating Harry, Misty successfully advanced to face off against Hiruka. Gyarados vs. Bulbasaur. The process was relatively simple. Gyarados used a combination of Rain Praying and Storm. Although Hiruka's Bulbasaur was quite powerful, it was still far from breaking through Gyarados' Storm, so it was absolutely crushed. Very good. Misty has won 5 ribbon medals. Hiruka will definitely be able to collect 5 ribbon medals before the start of the large-scale celebration, if she works harder. And Satoshi, you are also 1 gym badge short, work harder. Zahu said. I will definitely pass, brother. Satoshi said excitedly. Keep your confidence, but the last gym, Liuli Gym's trainer, Mr. Adam, is Michaela's teacher. Although he focuses on performance and tends to be an artistic performer instead of focusing on improving the strength of Pokémon, he is probably inferior to Mr. Lee in the home gym, so you still have to be careful. Zahu said. Master Mikali's teacher, Zyuksha and Zyoyao's eyes lit up. That's right, you can ask for more advice when you go to Liuli City. And Zyozzy, this time I want to have a friendly exhibition match with the champion of the regional conference. I hope that you will be the one fighting with me. Zahu said. The champion of this Chinkaya conference can have a fair fight with me? Zyozzy said excitedly. That's right, and it will be the one that everyone is paying attention to, and I will use the Pokémon that Hone has just captured to compete with you. Zahu smiled slightly, expressing encouragement, and then turned around and left calmly. Zahu, it seems that you have only captured 5 Pokémon in Hone, Mushroom, Iron Dumbbell, Banjira, Windchime, and at most a baby dragon, but you gave Windchime to Kachiro, and the remaining ones, except Banjira, are almost powerless. You don't want to take the opportunity to throw the championship position to Zyozzy like Dago. Professor Oak looked at Zyozzy with suspicion. Teacher, do you think I'm that kind of person? Zahu said unhappily. Yes. Professor Oak, Kachiro, Hiroya, and Meowth said in unison. Zahu's expression darkened, staring at Kachiro and the other two and said, yes, I'm that kind of person. Hiroya, from today on, you will train with Pokémon, and the training volume of trainers will be increased by 3 times. Kajiro and Meowth, your salary will be reduced by half from today. Ah. Boss, master, no. Kajiro and the other two wailed. Zahu showed disdain and walked into the airship arrogantly. Just kidding. Professor Oak is my teacher. He bullied me, and I could only admit it. You 3 still want to go against the will of heaven? If I don't teach you how to behave, you won't know who is the boss. Zahu and his group boarded the airship and traveled freely in the Hone region to make up for the boredom of these days. The entire Hone alliance exploded, and countless people were sent out to search. And Fladley was almost furious. He calculated everything, and even asked Dago for a copy of the data on the super evolved boulder in the Kalos region. All the plans were originally carried out in an orderly manner, but when they were about to succeed, they suddenly went astray. The development of the entire plan developed in a direction that Fladley could not predict, and he could not intervene in the whole process. Whether it was the 3 idiots of Hone in Rayquaza or the monsters that suddenly became stronger here in Zahu and Lugia, none of them could be controlled by him. Sitting in the conference room, looking at all the senior executives of the Flare team, he said, things have developed to this point, which has exceeded the plan. But the silver lining is that Zahu is not happy about being interfered with, so we still have the opportunity to directly take back the Mega Evolution Stone. This is also our only chance. We must definitely take the Mega Evolution Stone before Zahu returns to the Alliance. Representative, everyone knows Zahu's strength. If it were in the Kalos region, we might still have a chance, but here in Hone, we don't have enough manpower. If we fight Zahu head on, the chances of winning are slim. It's better to continue with the previous plan, intervene in the research of the Mega Evolution Stone in the name of cooperation, and then find the right time to take the Mega Evolution Stone away. Akbi, a cadre of the Flare team, said tactfully. How can it be said that the chances of winning are slim? With the strength of the Flare team in the Hone region, they can't fight against Zahu at all. If they really fight, the Flare team will definitely die. We adopted this plan out of necessity. We have enough information about the megalith, and we have always had a good reputation, and have maintained a good relationship with the Kalos Alliance. Logically, the Hone Alliance would agree, but Zahu was deeply poisoned after being undercover, and he is repulsive to us. With him around, they will not let us join, said Fladley. We have not had any contact with Zahu. Why is he so repulsive to us? Is there any misunderstanding? If it can be resolved, we can do better research, said Akbi. There is no misunderstanding, so it cannot be resolved. Moreover, Zahu is a man with ulterior motives. Handing him the megalith will only bring disaster to the world. The megalith, a power that changes the world, can only be truly exerted and used to benefit the people if it is in our hands, said Fladley. In this case, can we use other forces? There must be many greedy people in the Hone region, and Zahu has such a big piece of cake, Mega Evolution Stone, and he wants to take it all for himself. There must be many people who want to attack him. We can contact these people and let the Alliance issue an order to forcibly recall Mega Evolution Stone, or even ask Zahu to hand over his Pokémon. Given Zahu's personality, he might just fight directly. At that time, we can have a chance to fish in troubled waters. The leader of the Flare team, Cusalus, said strangely. Although the Alliance is not as glorious as it seems, and there are many people fighting for power, but those in power in the Alliance are not fools. Zahu, a person with a clean background, can't help but be accepted into the Alliance, and naturally, it is impossible for him to issue such an idiotic order. Flatterly shook his head and said, "Where there is light, there is darkness. The Alliance does have a lot of dirty things, but it is not so dark that there is no hope. Moreover, it is not so easy for the Alliance to deal with Zahu now. Even if they win, it will not be worth the loss." Vladimir shook his head and said, "Where there is light, there is darkness. The Alliance does have a lot of dirty things, but it is not so dark that there is no hope. And if they really do it, it is not so easy for the Alliance to deal with Zahu now. Even if they win, it will not be worth the loss. As for the families, let's not talk about whether these families have such influence. Let's talk about the two largest families in Hone. One of them gave the championship to Zahu, and the other sent the son of the king to Zahu as an apprentice. If they really have to choose, these two families will also look for Zahu, and they will not be so desperate as to cooperate with the Flare team. Representative, if we can't use the opponent's strength to fight against the opponent's strength, we can only use force. The possibility of winning a head-on battle with Zahu is really small. His Mewtwo seems to be able to directly break away from the Pokeball, so we can't deal with him by taking away the Pokeball first. We can only kidnap and threaten him. Cusalus said strangely. That's right. Next, we will look at Zahu's information. Vladimir clicked a button, and the light screen appeared to show all the information of Zahu. Zahu, from Kanto's Pallet Town. His father went on a trip many years ago and never came back. His whereabouts are still unknown. His mother Hanako raised the two children by herself. She first ran a farm and now manages the research institute for Zahu. His lover is the Ice King Kona of the Kanto 4 Heavenly Kings, and he has a younger brother, Satoshi. Seeing this, a group of carders held their breath. Seeing that Vladimir had prepared so carefully, everyone guessed what Vladimir was thinking. Kidnapping. What I said before was just a polite gesture. Satoshi has Lucario and Suicune, and their strength is not weak. On the contrary, Zahu's mother Hanako is weak. Hanako should be the best target. Cusalus said curiously. No, according to our intelligence in Kanto, Hanako happened to be in the Orange Islands with Kona these days. With Kona's strength in the Orange Islands, no one can take people away from her, except the Rocket team in Kanto. With our strength, even if we snatch people, we can't hide them, let alone transport them. Vladimir said. So the target is Zyos but Zyos' Suicune and Mega Lucario are not simple. Akbi hesitated. What if they are not simple? Aren't they the top? And such young trainers are like flowers in a greenhouse, which is the easiest to deal with. Knock them out first. What's the use of the powerful Pokémon? Said Vladimir. Understood. All members of Team Flare said in a solemn voice. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358, Valley of Steel. White clouds floated by. Zahu flew through the airship at low altitude, looking at the surrounding scenery, with a relaxed and leisurely face. He had neither clairvoyance nor the ability to predict the future. Zahu knew nothing about the Flare team. These days, he flew around various scenic spots, and had a very interesting life. He did not hide his tracks on purpose, and did not want the Alliance to really not find him, so as to avoid a group of people thinking too much, so some people from the Alliance found him. However, just after he found him, he asked Jenga to use hypnosis to educate him, and then left in style. In short, Zahu's meaning was clear, and he could go back and show his sincerity. Boss, after passing the Steel Valley ahead, we can reach the Kamoon gym, and we can go to instruct the gym trainers. Kajiro said. That's pretty fast. Zahu said. Although there is no fixed goal, you can play as you like, but there must be a fixed path for playing. So Zahu simply played in the order of the gyms. After returning from Izabe Island, he got the Heart Badge and the White Feather Badge from the Green Ridge Gym and the Indigo Gym respectively. Next, go to the Kami Gym to get the Flame Badge. Although he can no longer participate in the League Conference of the Hone region, after all, he is already the champion of the Hone region. Before he can find someone to blame, he can't even participate in the conferences of other regions. However, if he doesn't collect badges during a trip, he feels that something is missing. Think about how spectacular it will be to put a row of badges out when he is old. The ones in the Kami Gym have fire Pokémon, and they are quite powerful. I can let the Violent Salamander fight them well. Heoi said that he can participate in the regional conference, and there is still time. As long as nothing unexpected happens, he can still catch up with this regional conference. Hide your Violent Salamander for me, and train more Pokémon like Arbok. You have a total of 5 Pokémon in your hand now, and you haven't even crossed the threshold of 6 Pokémon to participate in the League Conference, not to mention that Arbok and Bryceb have hardly been trained. Even if you collect the gym badges before the time, I'm afraid you don't have enough Pokémon. Zahu said. But it's hard to find a dragon Pokémon. I've been looking for a long time, but I haven't found a suitable one. Heoi said pitifully. If you really want it, then ask your big brother Meow Meow to ask for it. Your big brother Meow Meow has the ability to make your word come true. Zahu said. Huh? Meow Meow, do you have this ability? Heoi looked at Meow Meow with shining eyes. No, Meow. I told my boss to give me a raise every day, but my boss didn't give me a penny of salary, and he deducted my salary every day. Meow Meow defended. I'm telling you now, even if you meet a blue bad now, you won't meet it. Boss, wait a minute. There seem to be a few armored birds bullying a blue bad nearby, and the blue bird seems to be alone. Kajiro suddenly shouted. Ah. Zahu and the others looked at each other and quickly turned their heads to find that in the valley on the side, several armored birds were attacking a small blue bad together. Boss cat. Heoi looked at Meow Meow with admiration. Meow Meow was so confused that he subconsciously said, if I really have this ability, I will become a millionaire and become Kajiro's boss. Now that you have seen the blue bird, why are you still standing there? Go over and save it and subdue it. Zahu shouted to Heoi. He was just joking just now, but he didn't expect Meow Meow to really make it come true. This guy's really awesome. Yes. Heoi was overjoyed. The blue bird evolved into the Tanabata blue bird. It was beautiful and had dragon attributes. Whether it was participating in the gorgeous competition or the Alliance conference, it was very practical. He didn't even have time to wait for the airship to land. He pushed open the hatch and released the Violent Salamander and said, Violent Salamander, use Jet Flame. The flames accumulated in the mouth of the Violent Salamander and sprayed out. A large area of flames burned, and in an instant, it enveloped several armored birds that were besieging the blue bird. The armored birds could not withstand the flame attack and fled one after another, flying down the valley. Heoi jumped onto the Violent Newt and flew directly to the side of the blue bird, then showed a gentle standard smile. After following his master who started out by deceiving people, and Kajiro who never had to fight to capture Pokémon, Heoi's ability to deceive people has been increasing day by day. He took out a box of Pokémon food and used the abduction method. When Zahu landed the airship, this guy had actually succeeded in deceiving and put the blue bird into the Pokéball. Master, I have captured the blue bird. Heoi said with a proud pose. But it also caused trouble. Zahu pointed to the sky in front. Heoi suddenly became alert and looked up at the sky. A large group of armored birds and Magnetron floated out. Kill one, and a group will come. They are social Pokémon. Zahu said. It's okay, that's all, I can handle it. Heoi said confidently, and released the blue bird first. The blue bird saw a group of armored birds, and its expression panicked. It flapped its wings, and flew into Heoi's arms, seeking comfort. Heoi smiled and said, Blue bird, be good, watch how I avenge you. Violent Salamander, use Jet Fire, attack all. The face of the violent salamander was fierce, and flames spewed from its mouth, dyeing a large area of the sky red. The armored birds and the 3-in-1 Magneto retreated one after another, and then attacked the violent salamander, air slashing and 100,000 volts in succession. Violent salamander, close the distance and use jet fire again. Haoi's order was conveyed again. The wings of the violent salamander vibrated, and it didn't dodge, and directly withstood these attacks, and then approached several Pokémon, spraying flames on its face, and shot down the armored birds and 3-in-1 Magneto. Zahu nodded slightly, not surprised by the result. These steel-type Pokémon were not very strong. Haoi's salamander had excellent genes, and had been professionally trained. It was easy for him to win, by using the jet of flames that restrained the attribute. Okay, the Pokémon has been captured, let's go, Zahu said. Haoi nodded, touched the little head of the blue bird, and prepared to return to the airship. At this time, a roar suddenly came from the valley, and a big steel snake suddenly jumped out from the ground, followed by a bunch of armored birds and 3-in-1 magnets. After beating one, a group comes. Now that the small one has been beaten, the big one comes again. Haoi, let's deal with it again, Zahu said. Okay, salamander, use jet of flames. Haoi shouted. The salamander followed his words, and used a move to spray fire again. The flames swept through Steelix's body. Steelix let out a low roar and actually injured it head on. Then it broke through, and a green light flashed from its mouth, spraying salamander directly to injure it. Dragon Breath. Zahu said the name of Steelix's special move, and recognized Steelix's strength. It could withstand Salamander's spray of fire, which showed that its attribute resistance was very good. It also had the special move of Dragon Breath, which was also powerful. Among wild Pokémon, it was first class, worthy of being the leader of this Valley of Steel. Seeing this, Haoi also showed a surprised expression, but soon he also fought back, and commanded Salamander to attack. Steelix was worthy of being the leader of the Valley of Steel. It dug holes at a first-class speed, and kept moving underground, making Salamander's attacks completely ineffective, and then it launched Dragon Breath attacks from time to time. For a while, it was actually in a stalemate. Chapter 359, Subdue Steelix. Master, how about you take over the battle and capture it? Haoi said. Why should I come? Although the Steelix digs very fast and the salamander can't attack for a while, as long as we play steadily, it won't be a big problem to beat Steelix, Zahu said. But it's a bit of a waste of time. And master, you said you want to play a friendly match with Xiaozi, and you have to use the Pokémon captured by Hone. If you don't collect some strong ones, I'm afraid you can't beat it. After all, Xiaozi's Pokémon in Hone are pretty good. Haoi said. That's right. Zahu nodded. Among the Pokémon he trained, except for the Iron Dumbbell he just got, he has not captured a Steel-type Pokémon. There is no Ground-type Pokémon, except for the Crystal Bigonix, that he is studying. It's just right to capture one. Back off, I'll let Jenga play, Zahu said. Okay, Salamander come back. Haoi took Salamander back. Steelix, who was fighting against the Salamander, saw the Salamander run away, and immediately looked at Zahu and his group with dissatisfaction, and roared threateningly. Don't roar. Next, I will fight you, and if I win, I will subdue you, Zahu said. Hearing Zahu say that he wanted to subdue it, Steelix's expression became more ferocious, but he did not attack Zahu at this time, obviously agreeing with Zahu's statement. Okay, Jenga, come out and play. Zahu released Jenga, then picked up the brooch on his chest, and burst into 7-color light, saying, Super Evolution, Jenga. The light flashed, and Jenga completed the Super Evolution in a piece of light, revealing a naughty smile. It did not complete the eternal Super Evolution like Gyarados, but there is its exclusive Super Evolution stone in the ruins, so it is also a very frequent evolution among a group of Pokémon. When Steelix saw the super evolved Jenga, his eyes were strange, as if he didn't understand what kind of Pokémon it was. Pokémon Super Evolution, after you follow me, I will also let you complete the Super Evolution, Zahu said. Steelix responded with a powerful Dragon Breath. Genji, Evil Wave, Zahu said. The terrifying purple-black energy on Jenga's body emanated, dispersing the Dragon Breath, and attacking Steelix directly. Steelix's body moved suddenly, used digging again, and quickly drilled into the ground. Genji use the destruction death beam directly at the hole, Zahu said. Jenga smiled sinisterly, opened his mouth wide, and the terrifying destructive energy shot out, penetrating the hole. The violent energy exploded directly, and a landslide was seen, and dust flew. When the wind and sand dispersed, Steelix was seen lying in the ruins with big circles on his head. Steelix, come with me. Zahu jumped down, walked to the side of the unconscious Steelix, and threw a Pokeball. The Pokeball bounced on the ground a few times, and finally stopped unchanged, indicating that it was successfully captured. A group of Steel-type Pokémon nearby saw that their leader had been defeated and was subdued, and they all showed angry expressions. However, before they could make a move, Haoi released the violent salamander, which spewed out flames, and scared them away. Okay, let's go. Zahu put away the Pokeball, and prepared to leave. A hat suddenly hit Zahu from a high place. Zahu instinctively stretched out his right hand, and took the hat. After seeing it clearly, his face suddenly changed. It was Zyos's hat. He turned around, and saw a middle-aged man wearing a grey hat standing there and said, "Drive Zahu, you should recognize the hat in your hand." "Zyos, was you caught?" Zahu said with an unpleasant face. "That's right, Dr. Zahu, if you want your brother to leave alive, go to Liuli City tomorrow, and send the Super Evolution Boulder as an exchange, otherwise you have to be prepared to send your brother to his death." The middle-aged man looked at Zahu with a smug look on his face. "Super Evolution Boulder? Did Vladimir ask you to come?" Zahu said with a gloomy face. "This has nothing to do with you. In short, if you don't want your own brother to die, just cooperate." The middle-aged man looked smug, as if he felt it was very satisfying to threaten the young champion like this. Seeing Zahu's ugly face, the middle-aged man looked smug, threw out the treasure ball, released a warrior eagle, and the middle-aged man turned over, and was about to leave. "Want to leave? Zyalo, stop it." Zahu swung the treasure ball and released Lugia. Lugia flapped its two huge wings, and violent airflow surged, trapping the warrior eagle and the middle-aged man, and they fell to the ground together. "I didn't let you leave, can you leave?" Zahu said coldly. "You dare to touch me? Aren't you afraid that something will happen to your brother?" The middle-aged man said angrily. "Are you afraid?" After Zahu let Lugia suppress the warrior eagle, he walked up to the middle-aged man, and stepped on his chest. "Are you worthy? Before getting the Mega Evolution Stone, Zyos will not have any accidents. Even if I kill you, what's the matter? Do the people behind you dare to touch Zyos? You." The middle-aged man was shocked. "Kajiro, Meowth, you guys deal with it," Zahu said. "Okay, boss." Kajiro and Meowth rubbed their hands, showing evil expressions eager to try. Ignoring the screams from behind, Zahu turned around and called the Alliance. Although he didn't want to contact Zyos's matter was here, so he had to contact him. After communicating for a while, Zahu hung up the phone. Zyos was caught. With his current strength, there are not many people who can catch him. Professor Oak frowned when he heard the news. That was a normal fight, but if they were to attack Zyos, they would definitely not attack normally. Zyos is such a fool. He was tricked by a mistake, and it's not surprising that he was caught. Zahu said. "That's right. He is only a 12-year-old kid after all, but the Magna team and the Aqua team have both disbanded." "Who did it?" Professor Oak asked in confusion. "There are so many people coveting the Mega Evolution Boulder, who knows? But, teacher, you don't have to worry too much. Zyos is not the first time to travel. Nothing will happen," Zahu said. To be honest, knowing that Zyos was captured by the mysterious organization, Zahu was not particularly anxious. Because it was Zyos who was captured. Being captured by a mysterious organization is indeed very dangerous and a very rare thing. Ordinary people may not encounter it once in their lifetime, and most of them will not survive if they encounter it. But Zyos is very common, and he is always alive and kicking every time. In the first part, he was caught by Team Rocket during the Red Gyarados incident. In the second part, he ran to Team Magma's battleship and was caught by Team Magma. In the third part, he was caught by Team Galactic again because of the 3 sacred mushrooms. Zahu forgot whether he was caught by Team Plasma in the 4th part, but he was caught by Team Flare again in the 5th part. In the circle of legendary beasts who have not seen Zyozzy are embarrassed to say that they are legendary beasts and are mixed in the circle. And the underground organizations in various regions, if they have not caught Zyozzy once or twice, they are probably embarrassed to say that they are the largest organization in the area. If they kill Zyozzy, they will kill him immediately, and Zahu will be really worried. But kidnapping? Sorry, Zahu is really not panicked at all. If the protagonist's halo is turned on, Zahu doesn't even need to rescue Zyozzy. Zyozzy will come out by himself. Chapter 360 Zahu's action. Ding ding, a series of notifications sounded on the airship. Zahu frowned slightly, showing a curious expression. Since he came out, he has blocked the airship's communicator. Unless he knows the accurate signal code of the internal communicator, he can contact. But the communicator code of this airship is only known by a few members of the water fleet at the time. Could it be that they are in trouble too? Is it that everyone around me has been in trouble recently? Although I got close to them because of the mission at the beginning, I have lived together and done missions together for so long. It would be a lie to say that there is no affection. I answered the call without hesitation, but the voice after the call scared Zahu. Brother, it's me, Zyozzy. We are out of danger. Zyozzy? Zahu raised his eyebrows. Are you sure? The people who kidnapped you came to threaten me for blackmail at noon yesterday, and then this morning, you told me that you have come out. Well, you are worthy of it. The nemesis of the underground organization, Zyozzy. Yes, it's me. Zyaksha, Zyada Gang, Zyoao, and Zyadasheng and I are all out. Zyozzy said. How did you get out? Explain clearly, and how did you know the contact information of this airship? Zahu asked curiously. It was Connor, Yingxiang and the others who helped me get out. Zyozzy said. Master Zahu, it's me, Connor, and I, Beachin and Yingxiang. Several voices sounded one after another. It's you? Zahu was slightly surprised. Where are you now? I'll go there immediately. We are now in the Liuli gym in Liuli City. Connor said. Okay, wait there, I'll go there right away. Zahu controlled the airship, increased the speed of the airship to the limit, and flew towards Liuli City. Because it was originally heading towards Liuli City, there was not much time wasted. In the evening, Zahu arrived at the Liuli gym. He first met Mr. Adam, the gym trainer of the Liuli gym. An elegant middle-aged gentleman. With clean and tidy clothes and a meticulously combed beautiful hairstyle, Zahu felt like he saw the old Mikali. Drive Zahu, you are finally here. Zyozzy and the others are waiting for you inside. Mr. Adam said. Excuse me, Mr. Adam. Zahu said with a smile, and walked inside. He saw a group of familiar people standing in the gym. Seeing Zahu appear, the members of the water fleet stood up and said, Master Zahu, now the water fleet has disbanded. You are not from the water fleet, and I have never been from the water fleet, so just call me Zahu. Zahu looked around and found that almost all the members of ZioA and ZioB were here, and the members of the Fire Rock team who had followed him in the ancient sage ruins were also here. No matter what, Master Zahu is an adult in our hearts. Beachin said. I have to thank you for my brother's matter. Speaking of which, what exactly happened? Zahu asked. It's like this, because Lord Shu Wutang and Kai Yansang both realized that the ancient Pokémon Groudon and Kyogre should not be controlled, and humans and nature should live in harmony, so the Water Fleet and Magna Team lost their meaning of existence and were disbanded. We all lost our jobs, and started looking for jobs to support ourselves, support our Pokémon, and send money to our families, so we came here, and moved bricks at the construction site. Beachin said. What? You elites of the water fleet are going to move bricks at the construction site? Zahu widened his eyes and said in shock. Yes, Lord Zahu is not unaware of our family situation, and we don't have any special skills, so we have to move bricks. Although it's tiring, it's still good to make money when we work together. Beachin said. Zahu nodded, knowing the situation of these people. Many people in the water fleet came from overseas isolated islands, which were so remote that even Miss Junsha didn't have any staff there. It was a typical poor and remote place. For various reasons, it was a small place that the Alliance could not manage for the time being. Most of the members of the water fleet joined the water fleet because they did not agree with the concept of the sea. They just did it because the salary of the water fleet was high. As for what was illegal, don't tell the poor people about this kind of thing. Seeing this, Zahu felt a little guilty. Although disbanding the water fleet and the magna team was good for the overall situation, it did affect the lives of these people. After arriving here, we didn't expect to meet Yingxiang and the others. They were sending flowers. We were all wanderers in the world, so we got familiar with each other and became friends. Kana said, send flowers. Zahu glanced at Yingxiang and others. Well, the elites of the water fleet have fallen to moving bricks, so it's not surprising that the elites of the magna team sent flowers. We don't like our current jobs very much, but we have no choice. But just a few days ago, someone suddenly came to us, without saying who we were, just asking us to join their organization and continue our previous work. But the target was not Groudon Kyogre, but something else, called Zygote. We were tired of our current jobs, so we agreed to join. Yingxiang took over the topic. Zygote? Zahu nodded and confirmed. The Flare team. Vladary. He is really a thief who is not dead yet. That organization is even less reliable than our magna team, and they also kidnap and extort. But we agreed to it if they paid us money. But after we cooperated with them to capture them, we found that your brother was among them. In the ruins, I owe you my life, so I contacted Beacon and rescued him together. Yingxiang said. Okay, then I know what happened. Zahu said, but how did you deal with their people? They were all tied up. There were only about 10 people in total. Yingxiang replied. There were about 100 people here, and it was not easy to beat up 10 people. Okay, thank you. Zahu said. Master Zahu's brother has something to do, so of course we have to help. Beacon said. Thank you for troubling you. It's also because of me that you don't have a job. Stay here first. Don't go out to move bricks and sell flowers. We will arrange new jobs for you. Zahu said. Master Zahu? Beacon opened his mouth to refuse, but Zahu stopped them from talking and said, since you call me Master Zahu, you must obey my orders. Yes. Kana said subconsciously. Zahu walked to the side and released Mewtwo's Pokeball. Mewtwo, can you do me a favor? Zahu said. I'm busy, don't bother me, and return me to Sister Hanako as soon as possible. Mewtwo replied indifferently, and then a red light flashed, and it returned to Zahu's Pokeball. Don't be like this, we are so familiar with each other, it's very strange for you to do this. Zahu released Mewtwo again. Mewtwo looked at Zahu expressionlessly. I beg you, help me kill someone. Zahu said. Kill someone. Mewtwo's eyes changed slightly. Since the battle with Team Rocket in the sea, it has never killed anyone again. And it hates being a tool of humans to kill people the most. Listen to me, I have no choice, just for safety. Zahu put one hand on Mewtwo's shoulder and whispered about the matter. Listening to Zahu's narration, Mewtwo's expression gradually changed from disgust and aversion to recognition, and then to anger. Chapter 361, Silent Night. Where is this? In the Kalos region, somewhere in the basement of a building. Mewtwo said to Zahu beside him. Vladary Research and Experimental Base. Zahu said. You asked me to use teleportation continuously, and why did you bring me here? Mewtwo said. Of course, it is to solve the problem once and for all. Zahu said. In the battle in the Kana Sea, the Mega Evolution Boulder appeared. The biggest gainers were Dragonite, King of Leave, and Gyarados, all of whom completed the Eternal Evolution. The second was Mewtwo, because it is a genetic Pokémon with infinite gene combinations. After Mewtwo merged the genes of the Mega Evolution, it has the ability to rely on a Pokémon to Mega Evolve alone. This is also possible, with Zahu constantly teleporting across a continent to the Kalos region. Of course, the help of the super beasts Lugia and Latios is indispensable here, and they continue to provide superpower support. That's why Mewtwo succeeded. Okay, Mewtwo, use your superpower to control a few people. Zahu said. Here I still have to sigh that superpowers are so practical that even humans can control them. Like in the movie Mewtwo Strikes Back, Mewtwo controlled Joe as its butler, and when Zai was around, several squids in the Kalos region used their superpowers to control a Junsa as a puppet. Mewtwo had a calm expression. After its super evolution, its superpowers were further strengthened, and it directly controlled the brains of several people, asking them to bring Zahu to the control room. Then, under the command of the commander, all the things on the Flare team's computer that could not be seen by others were packed up and posted online so that all netizens could see them as soon as possible tomorrow, and then posted to the official websites of the Kalos League and the Hone League. Okay, the evidence is conclusive. The idiots in the league should take action. Then, I will take you to see the great gods in the Kalos region, and the Pokémon whose complete forms may be slightly stronger than yours now. Zahu said. Is there one here? Mewtwo looked at Zahu in disbelief. Let's go. Zahu did not answer Mewtwo's question, but walked forward on his own. Walking calmly on the road, he was not afraid of the surveillance around him at all. Here I have to thank the magic of Pokémon. After drinking it, his face changed immediately. Make sure no one can know that it was Zahu who did it. Zahu and Mewtwo, who also drank the Pokémon potion and used magic to transform into the nightmare god Darkrai, headed towards the target. Along the way, there were many patrols, but before they could sound the alarm, they were knocked down by Mewtwo's terrifying superpowers. Soon, Mewtwo and Zahu saw a green insect Pokémon that looked like a caterpillar in a petri dish. Just after arriving here, the caterpillar-like Pokémon in the petri dish suddenly burst out with strong energy fluctuations, and a violent explosion occurred. The scientists around were shocked. Mewtwo was also a little surprised and said, not bad energy, but is it really emitted by the caterpillar? That's the core state of Zygarde, but it will absorb energy from nature. Once it reaches 100% of its form, you may not be its opponent. Zahu smiled, and then walked on openly. Who are you? The researchers of the Flare team saw Zahu and Mewtwo and immediately asked sternly. I'm here to finish you off. Zahu looked at Mewtwo. Mewtwo nodded, and a terrifying energy wave emanated from his body, spreading outwards like a rotten wood. The scientists of Team Flare were blown away one after another and fell unconscious. Then Zahu lowered his head and walked towards the Zygarde core, which was still in its core state, like a green caterpillar. He lifted up the Zygarde core with both hands. Zygarde was obviously repelled by Zahu and struggled hard, but it was impossible for him to break free with his current strength. On the contrary, Zahu touched the body of Zygarde core and showed a happy expression. It's really soft. No wonder you will be called Little Soft. Little Cutie in the future. Zygarde core didn't understand Zahu's words and tried hard to struggle. Okay, I'll let you go. Cheo, Darkrai, help heal it. Zahu said. Mewtwo nodded indifferently, and a gentle wave emanated from his body, restoring the health of Zygarde core. Okay, I'll let you go in a while. Zahu hugged Zygarde core, feeling very happy. Being able to play Z-God, one of the supreme beasts in the Kalos region, so easily is something that ordinary people will never have the chance to do in their lifetime. Okay, let's leave, but before we leave, let's blow up this building, Zahu said. Mewtwo had a blank expression on his face, and a terrifying energy wave emanated from his body, like a magma eruption, as if exterminating the world. In an instant, the entire building was destroyed, and the earth and rocks exploded, exciting the entire city. In the dark night, countless sleeping residents woke up from their dreams. Okay, kid, let's go. Zahu said to Zygarde core, bent down to release Zygarde core, and then looked at Mewtwo. Mewtwo teleported again and left here. Zygarde core looked at Zahu and Mewtwo, who disappeared in confusion and seemed to be completely unable to understand Zahu. But he quickly reacted and quickly fled from here. Then, Zahu released Dragonite, sat on it with Mewtwo, and then Dragonite flew back to the Hone region at a high speed. Although Mewtwo can use his superpowers to return, Mewtwo's superpowers are not inexhaustible. After returning to the Hone region, Mewtwo still has places to attack, so it is better to let Mewtwo take it slow. Besides, Dragonite's flying speed is not slow. If it flies at full speed, it can fly around the world in 16 hours. It is also fast to fly from the Kalos region to the Hone region. It successfully returned in 2.5 hours. Zahu put away Dragonite, and then Mewtwo used teleportation again. After the transformation, the two of them went directly to the temporary headquarters of the Flare team in the Hone region, and found the leader of the Flare team, Fladderly. before Flutterly released the Pokémon. Let Flutterly completely leave this dirty world that he hated. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Zahu had a blank expression throughout the whole process. Although he wanted to be a peaceful doctor and a friendly scholar, and did not want to kill people. However, there are always some things that you can't choose. This time it was Zaozi, and next time maybe he would dig into his own home. The Rocket team was not so straightforward. You are so cruel. Well, Team Rocket didn't do anything to my people, so I didn't go to Sakaki. But since you did it, and you were not at the headquarters, you sent everyone around you to trouble me, leaving yourself with a lack of power. Don't blame me, I killed you first. Killing is not the only way to solve a problem. But in most cases, it is a way, and it is the roughest and fastest way. After doing all this, Zahu asked Cheomeng to use teleportation, to return to Liuli City. Pretend that nothing happened. Everything is so peaceful. Chapter 362. Tricks for President Zvici. President, long time no see. Zahu looked at President Zvici, who came to discuss the Mega Evolution Stone with him on behalf of the Alliance, with a smile on his face. He was not tired at all after a busy night, and was full of energy, as if he had just had a deep sleep. I'm not afraid of seeing you, because it will remind you of Dago, and then you will beat you up, and vent your anger towards Dago on me. President Zvici smiled. That's right, if a son is not taught well, it is the fault of the father. If you hadn't said it, I would have almost forgotten that I can't beat Dago now, but I can beat you. Zahu seemed to react suddenly, looking at President Zvici with an evil face. Okay, come on. President Zvici opened his hands, with an expression ready to be beaten. Zahu's evil expression collapsed immediately, and he rolled his eyes in annoyance. Beat you? If I just do it, I will cripple you, and then my life will not be enough to pay for it. You don't want to fight, right? Well, let's talk about business. President Zvici said. Okay, Alliance representative, Mr. Zvici, Zahu said. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Champion. President Zvici also complimented. Zahu smiled nonchalantly, and led President Zvici inside. In the sky, Gyarados and Dragonite were playing happily and flying freely. What's going on? Gyarados can fly? And you didn't fight, right? How could this Gyarados become such a super evolved state? President Zvici said with a surprised look on his face. Because, this is the eternal super evolution. This is the third form of Gyarados. If I, Gyarados, have children in the future, maybe I can make this phenomenon exist. Zahu said. Eternal super evolution, it really exists. It is the effect of the super evolution stone. President Zvici said excitedly. As one of the top figures in the Hone region, he certainly saw at a glance how valuable the eternal super evolution is. Yes and no, the super evolution stone is just one of the effects, equivalent to a medium. To achieve eternal super evolution, you need the power of a mythical beast. Zahu said. What do you mean? President Zvici asked curiously. As for the eternal super evolution, the matter of the super evolution stone was temporarily put aside. After all, isn't the function of the super evolution stone super evolution? In fact, my current Gyarados is equivalent to a new legendary beast. Zahu said. A legendary beast? President Zvici looked even more curious. President, you should know the difference between legendary beasts and ordinary Pokémon. The key is not the strength, but the gift of the world. Most Pokémon are just Pokémon, just like humans, but legendary beasts are different. They blend with nature, represent the laws of nature, and represent harmony. Perhaps, we can call it divinity. For example, the flame of Moltres contains the will of Moltres. Zahu said. President Zvici nodded, indicating his approval. The biggest difference between legendary beasts and ordinary Pokémon is not the strength. Although many people's first reaction to legendary beasts is that they are powerful, in fact, they are not. Legendary beasts are just stronger than most Pokémon, and the upper limit of their strength is usually beyond the reach of many Pokémon. But then again, it's the same old saying. Most people, Pokémon, are far from the point where they need to compete with talent. There are only a few mythical beasts that can truly look down on Pokémon and reach a level where their numbers are almost ineffective. But such divinity can be given. The most common ones are the gods of each region, or we can call them third level gods. The three sacred beasts of Johto, Entei, Suicune, and Raikou, were all created by Ho-Oh. The three pillars of Regis, Richalock, and Regisalu that are found all over the world were created by Regichicus. There are also Uxie, Imrido, and Akanum in the Sinnoh region. I suspect that they were also created by Dialga and Pachulua. Zahu said. There is such divinity in the Ruby and Sapphire. As the helmsman of Duin Manufacturing Co. Limited, the leading manufacturing company in the Hone region, President Zifich's brain is naturally not slow, and he quickly reacted. That's right, with the power of the Ruby and Sapphire, plus the power of the Mega Evolution Stone, Pokémon with the same attributes can break through the genetic limit and complete the eternal Mega Evolution. Zahu said. Eternal Super Evolution. The power of the beast. Zahu, you really deserve to be recognized by the Alliance as the most talented research doctor in the past 100 years. Even if you don't have the fairy attribute, just based on your discovery, you are also the most famous and greatest doctor of this century. President Zfachi praised. It's not that exaggerated. It also requires the power of the beast, and the beast is not that easy to catch. Zahu smiled. He had another thing that he didn't tell President Zfachi. This theory of eternal evolution looks very impressive, but in fact it has a big flaw. Divinity comes from high-level beasts. After being passed on, it will decrease, so the racial value of the eternal super evolved Pokémon cannot exceed that of the beast that gives divinity. Just like when the Ho-Oh created the three sacred beasts, the Ho-Oh racial value was 680, and the three sacred beasts were 580, a full 100 difference in racial value. When Regichicus created the three pillars, Regichicus was 670, and the three pillars were 580, and the racial value was also 90. As for Zahu's Gyarados, after Eternal Mega Evolution, according to the estimation, the race value is only 640. Even if the race value is slightly increased, because of the dragon attribute replacing the evil attribute, it is at most 670, and the original Kyogre's 770 is at least 100 less. So the limit of Mega Evolution is almost set, and those with a race value of 770 are basically invincible. Even Ho-Oh and Lugia with a race value of 680 are basically difficult to catch. The one that is easier to deal with is Latios with a race value of 600. But 600 minus 100, there is only 500 left. How much practical significance is it to let a Pokémon with a race value of 400 eternally evolve to 500? It is much easier to catch a Pokémon with a race value of 500 than to Mega Evolve a Pokémon with a race value of 400. That's it, and it's also a great discovery. President Zfachi said. President, Kyogre's original return has the power of water, and I have a water-type Pokémon, so I used it quickly. But Groudon's original return has the power of fire and ground, and I really don't have a Pokémon with this attribute, so I didn't use it. You say, should I talk to the Alliance and let them decide which one to use? Zahu didn't say any more theories, but quietly changed the subject. Fire and ground. Groudon's power, you haven't used it yet? President Zfachi's eyes lit up. Yes. Zahu pretended to be casual. He deliberately showed off in front of President Zfachi that his Gyarados could Mega Evolve forever. Of course, he didn't have nothing to do, but he was waiting for President Zfachi to ask this question. Zyos was saved, and the people in the Alliance were useless. But after calling him, it really didn't make sense to leave without saying a word, so some things had to be finalized at this time. Among them, the ability to make a Pokémon Mega Evolve forever. Zahu decisively threw it out first, otherwise it would be too hot to hold in his hands. As for the fire and ground Pokémon, apart from Primal Groudon, there is only Charizard. Coincidentally, Zahu knew that President Zfachi had a Charizard that had been with him for many years. If you want to sell something, of course you have to find the best buyer. By trading with a manufacturing giant like this boss, Zahu can not only sell the goods at a good price in this transaction, but also share the firepower later. At the same time, it will not cheat the seller. The helmsman of Duin Manufacturing Co. Limited has a super evolved Charizard, so there will be no problem. In addition, Zahu will have some things to trouble President Zfachi next, so Zahu decided on the target without hesitation. Chapter 363, Talking about Business. Give Groudon's power to my Charizard. President Zfachi said straight to the point. That's not good. Zahu said with embarrassment. There's nothing good or bad about it. You don't have fire and earth Pokémon, and trainers at your level won't just capture Pokémon casually. After all, even after Charizard's Mega Evolution, it's not particularly good, and you still need to train it specifically. So you'll always have to trade this power, and you won't lose out if you trade with me. President Zfuchi said confidently. That being said, I trade with the Alliance, which better reflects my value and makes the Alliance feel at ease with me. In addition, if I want to sell it, I'll hold an auction, so there will be more people bidding, and it will be worth more then. Zahu said. But, you're deliberately showing off in front of me, aren't you going to sell it to me? Don't try to play tricks on me, don't forget, I handed Dago over. President Zfuchi smiled calmly. Yes, the father and son are exactly the same, both are conspirators and tricksters. Zahu squinted his eyes and complained to President Zfuchi. His little trick was discovered, so he simply stopped pretending. So, you are still a little naive to trick me. President Zfuchi said proudly. Well, since you have discovered it, I will change someone to do business again. Zahu turned around and wanted to leave. Stop, just pretend I didn't say that I was tricked by you, okay? Tell me the conditions. President Zfuchi hurriedly grabbed Zahu and said. Discovered, but you still have to be fooled. There is no way who let Zahu monopolize. If he doesn't find Zahu, there will be no one else, and President Zfuchi really wants his old friend to complete the super evolution. Especially recently, his old friend's health has been a little bad. After the super evolution, the body will be reborn, just like a new body, and it will extend the life of decades or even hundreds of years. Zahu, who turned his back, showed a smile of success on his face. It is true that monopolists are popular these days. Turning around, he said with a smile, the conditions are simple. President, you know I'm not a greedy person. President Zfuchi had a wooden expression. These days, the more people say they are not greedy, the greedier they are. There are only a few of them. In the research of the super evolutionary monolith, I have the first research right. I decide who will join the research to cooperate with me. No one is allowed to join the research team without my consent. Regardless of what President Zfuchi was thinking, Zahu put forward his own conditions. You are asking me to use public power for personal gain. But your conditions are fine, but you have to ensure the progress of the research. President Zfuchi said. This is not okay, so you don't have to use the progress to make a fuss. Zahu said, it is common for research to get stuck in a bottleneck, and once it gets stuck in a bottleneck, who knows how long it will take? But my teacher, Dr. Adamaki, Dr. Yamanashi, Dr. Yu, Dr. Platano and I will all be serious, and I will allow these people to come in. Zahu said again. It's okay to let the other doctors come in, as long as you are dedicated to the public, everything will be fine. President Zfuchi agreed after a little hesitation. Secondly, the super evolution stone is my personal property. I will temporarily lend it to the Alliance for research, but the ownership belongs to me. If the Alliance wants to study it, it will be leased. The annual rent is 10 million. In this way, all the research results will be used by the Alliance, otherwise I can't guarantee that I won't keep anything for myself. Zahu smiled. That's no problem. I can make a deal with you directly and sign a 10-year lease. I will give you 100 million right now. President Zfuchi agreed readily, which was more straightforward than the research just now. There is no other way. Hone is the leader in manufacturing. If you can solve the problem with money, then it can still be called a problem. As for the Alliance, let alone money, is there any difference between that and numbers? Third, Shu Wutang and Kai Yansang disbanded the water fleet and the fire rock team, and you also promised them that most of the people in the two teams would be deemed innocent, and only a few would be punished for serious crimes. However, there is still some discrimination in some aspects. So I hope to completely clear all the criminal records of the 152 people in this manner and make them innocent. Zahu said. That's fine. President Zfuchi pondered for a moment. Then let's do it this way for now, and then we can talk about the fire-breathing camel. Zahu said. What's the price? President Zfuchi asked. There is no price. I remember that there is a Xinghu amusement park in the property of Duan Manufacturing Co. Limited in KIL City. Zahu said. Xinghu, you want that amusement park? What are you doing here? President Zifuki asked curiously. It's still these people from the water fleet and the fire rock team. When I was undercover, they were all with me. Now that the water fleet has been disbanded, they have lost their stable jobs, so I have to find them stable and high income jobs again. Zahu said. I think you want to keep these people by your side because they are first rate and set up a similar organization. President Sfuchi said. I don't have the idea of overthrowing the alliance or changing the world, but I have to have my own power, otherwise it will be troublesome to call the people in the alliance every day. Zahu said with a smile. No problem, an amusement park is nothing. I will remove those people and only leave 1 or 2 people to lead you. President Sfuchi said. Xinghu Amusement Park is a famous amusement park in Kil City, but in the behemoth of Duan Manufacturing Co Limited, it is nothing. After all, the main business of Duan Manufacturing Co Limited is manufacturing, and the amusement park is a sideline business. Losing it really has no impact, and it is not a big loss for the company. It's just some money, but as I said, what President Sfuchi lacks the most is money. Then we can do it. Zahu said. Okay, wait a moment. Take the airship and come to my house with me. President Sfuchi smiled and was also satisfied with the result of this transaction. I thought Zahu would put forward some very high conditions, even asking for a high price, but it turned out to be just a dead asset like an amusement park. Okay, I'll follow the president's instructions. Zahu smiled. It's not that he hadn't thought about going deeper, but those things are easy to cause disputes. Knowledge is priceless these days. If you want something deeper, not to mention that President Sfuchi may not give it to you, even if he gives it to you, will Zahu want to steal the business from President Sfuchi? So, harmony brings wealth. Opening an amusement park will make everyone happy and provide jobs. And Zahu has a bold idea that he can try. By the way, there is another thing that the people in the alliance want to ask you. That is, Damlanki and Arklanli are arguing in the conference room all day long. You go and talk to them and confirm your affiliation and where the super evolution stone is being studied. President Sfuchi said. I'll solve it? Are you kidding? It's impossible. Zahu refused. You are now a dual identity of Kanto Hone. If they keep quarreling, it will not be good for you. President Zifuchi said. That's right, but if they stop quarreling, it will be worse for me. Now the 2 old men are quarreling. I'm precious. They will fight for me, give me advantages, and win me over. But if I persuade them to reconcile, the 2 old foxes will use routines to squeeze me in minutes. Believe it or not, if they stop quarreling, I will be the one to die. Zahu rolled his eyes and said. Those 2 old guys are united. What else can I play? Only when they compete will I get advantages. You kid is too calculating. President Zifuchi said with a smile and let Zahu go without saying anything more. Anyway, no matter how much they quarrel, it will not affect him too much. Chapter 364 The World's Best Boss Zahu. Kajiro, Meowth, Hokushin, Connor, Sakura, watch out. This amusement park is ours from now on. After meeting with President Sfuchi, Zahu let Haoi go on a trip alone to complete the gym challenge. After helping President Sfuchi's fire-breathing camel complete the Mega Evolution and sending the Mega Evolution boulder to the League, Zahu brought this group of people to the Xinghu amusement park. Belong to us? This is our first industry in the Hone region, our first pot of gold to make a fortune. Meowth looked at the huge amusement park and was so excited that she could hardly control herself. Kajiro next to him finally felt like he had made it through, and he hugged Meowth with tears in his eyes. Hokushin, Connor, Sakura and others also felt like they had gone from hell to heaven. Finally, they didn't have to move bricks and send flowers. As for wages, everything is the same as when you were in the Aqua Fleet and the Magma team. In addition, Hokushin, Connor, and Sakura each have 5% of the shares, and Kajiro and Meowth each have 10% of the shares. That's alright, right? Zahu said. No. Kajiro and Meow said straightforwardly. Master Zahu, is the salary too high? After all, the amusement park is different from our previous organization. This may drag down the amusement park. Should we reduce the salary? Yingxiang expressed a different opinion. Don't worry, I have thought about this. I don't want to open an ordinary amusement park. Most of the facilities here will be retained, but many special settings will be added, specifically for trainers and people who love Pokémon. Zahu said that this amusement park is similar to the amusement park in the previous life, but many things have been changed to Pokémon features, such as the carousel. Those horses are basically flaming horses or fire-breathing camels, so some things can be added appropriately. What is it? Meow Meow asked curiously. Zahu smiled without saying anything, and suddenly a flashing Groudon appeared behind him. Grow. Beacon and the others were instinctively startled, and soon realized that this Groudon did not seem to be real. This is Dr. Jung's Phantom System. Connor, who had also been to Jung Manor, was the first to react. That's right, and I've improved it a little bit. Zahu said, this is the main project of our amusement park. Jung couldn't bear the blow and committed suicide. This thing became ours, and I registered it in the alliance in the name of the amusement park. Now even if Jung is resurrected, this thing is still ours. Although this is shameless, in order to make money, it's better to blacken your conscience. Jung is not a good guy anyway. It's a crime to rob good people's things, and it's justice to rob bad people's things. And in a sense, if his own amusement park can prosper, Jung's Phantom System will also prosper, so that his achievements can be passed on, and will not be wasted in vain, leaving traces in this world. Zahu will still say that the inventor of the Phantom System is Jung, and he won't pretend to be someone else. Otherwise, it will be an academic stain. Being a doctor, Zahu is professional. Okay, children like to watch Pokémon the most, especially many mythical beasts, and you know a lot of mythical beasts, so you can create the Phantom System. Our amusement park will definitely be popular. Kajiro said excitedly. That's right. So the next step is your task. The main job responsibilities of the amusement park are divided. Meow Meow, you are responsible for training the team members on how to be qualified employees, adhering to the concept of employees being God, and calculating wages and salaries, etc. The head of the human resources department has decided to be you. Zahu said. No problem, Meow. Meow Meow took the responsibility. Beacon, you are responsible for all security work, patrols, and guards, etc. In short, you are responsible for all the safety of this amusement park. Zahu said. No problem. Beacon answered affirmatively. The leader of Zoe of the water fleet is very good at how to sneak in, and in turn, how to protect. In addition, when setting up the game, I plan to set up a simulated combat laboratory specifically for trainers and coordinating trainers. After this is studied, Connor, you will be responsible. Zahu said. Okay. Connor said. Finally, the development plan of the amusement park. Kajiro, you are in charge. Sakura Kasuke, give me a charter design in 7 days. Zahu said. No problem. Kajiro vowed to do business, become a rich man, and live a good life. Okay, the meeting is over. You guys work. I'll go to work first and study the boulder. Zahu said. Huh, boss, are you trying to pass on the blame? Kajiro looked at Zahu in confusion. Aren't you the boss? Aren't we supposed to share weal and woe? What else? I have to do everything myself. Why should I pay you guys to do that? Zahu said. Skinning you. Kajiro complained in a low voice. Stop talking nonsense. I'm busy too, okay? Now the theories of super evolution boulder and eternal evolution are almost killing me. And I have to go to the league conference and even the grand celebration of the gorgeous conference because of my bullshit champion status. If I didn't want to find a manager level job that's easy for Beacon and others to get started, and if I didn't want to give you the opportunity to start a company, would I open an amusement park? Zahu said unhappily. Kajiro's neck shrank, but he still didn't speak. Besides, making plans and the like is what you are good at, isn't it? I can just be the image ambassador. Before I find someone and throw away the title of champion, use me for publicity. There will definitely be a lot of kids coming. For the trainers, just set up a ring. Whoever is the final winner can have a friendly match with me. There will definitely be a group of people coming. The popularity will definitely not be low. Zahu said. That makes sense. Boss, is there anything else? Kajiro said with shining eyes. There are also rewards for various amusement facilities. When the new amusement facilities open, we can have some raffles. The prizes are my autographed photos, autographed books, etc. It doesn't cost much anyway. Then if the phantom system is well done, we can set up battle levels. You can fight all the way. If you win, you don't have to pay. If you win in the end, you can get assigned friends ball or something like that. There are still many Pokeballs made by Yuang and Guo. The value of my signature plus the Pokeball itself can also attract a lot of people. And when making the phantom system, make more cute pets, such as Pikachu, Mew, and Eevee. It would be best if you can input all the evolutions of Eevee, etc., which will definitely attract a lot of children. Zahu talked endlessly about his ideas in his previous life. Zyajiro recorded frantically. The more he recorded, the more he felt that Zahu's ideas were all good. Zahu shrugged his shoulders. In fact, he was really calm. He mastered the core technology of the phantom system, plus the star effect of the champion. When the opening ceremony came, he pulled out the 4 heavenly kings to show off the ribbon cutting. In the early stage, for a long time, it was completely brainless and could make the amusement park business hot. As for the next development after the heat has passed, that is a matter for the future. Zahu believes that Yinxi Yang and the others can do it. Finally, there are 2 more things. First, the annual Hana Alliance KIL conference is held here in KIL City, and it is coming soon. So when the time comes, we will definitely be able to attract a wave of people after the decoration is completed. In addition, I communicated with the Alliance as a champion, and finally moved the venue of this year's grand contest to here, so there will definitely be enough people. Especially trainers and coordinating trainers. You must work hard to make these people our loyal customers. Remember, the most profitable business in this world is related to trainers. Zahu said. Understood. Everyone said in unison. Second, I only want 50% of the shares here, and there are still 50% left. Minus the 35% you add up, and the 5% comprehensive shares I plan to give to each successfully trained employee, there are still 10%. The shares here depend on your performance. Whoever does well will also get this 10%. Zahu said. Okay. Kajiro and his group shouted. Okay, it's okay, I'm leaving. Zahu said. Boss, goodbye. Kajiro said. Power and money are in place. Everything is easy to talk about. I want 20%. Yeah. Zahu walked towards the door in a casual manner, thinking to himself that he finally left everything to Kajiro and the others. Tomorrow, Sister Kona will come over, and a new honeymoon life is waiting for me. The hotel is booked first, a luxurious couple hotel. Comfortable. Kajiro and others watched Zahu leave. Good boss. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365. Arriving in the Unova region. This flight has arrived at the destination, Unova. Please take your belongings with you. I wish you all a pleasant journey. The broadcasting sound in the plane kept echoing. Kona gently moved his shoulder, and Zahu, who was sleeping soundly, woke up slowly and yawned. Are we here? We are here. Let's get off the plane. Kona smiled. We are here so soon. I want to lean on you for a while longer. Zahu said. You haven't leaned on me enough. After leaning on me all the way. Kona scolded, stood up and walked out. It's been a long time since we last met. I miss you so much. Zahu smiled and caught up with Kona, took her hand, and walked out together. Don't come on. I see you have been looking for beautiful women without me around. Kona said. This is really a great injustice. I'm undercover in the water fleet, and I don't even have the opportunity to find beautiful women. I'm absolutely chaste. Zahu complained. This is really aggrieved. It's rare that my girlfriend is not around, but I can't even get enough of her. Staying in the water fleet, all kinds of dangers, weird. So if you weren't an undercover agent in the water fleet, you would have gone to find a beauty. Kona said. Yes, so you have to keep an eye on me. I'm really popular. Zahu said solemnly. Kona rolled her eyes coquettishly. Zahu said, President Damalanki and Vice President Darklanley have been arguing for a long time, and you have fled here alone. Aren't you afraid that the Alliance will blow you up? I have to flee. Originally, when the two of them were arguing, I could fish in troubled waters. Now they are arguing with me in the middle of the argument. Each one is more powerful than the other. I can't afford to offend them. It just so happens that Dr. Yu has something to do here, so he asked me to help a little. I'll leave first. Zahu spread his hands and said. Originally, he wanted to study quietly and wait for the end of this Champions League to give the championship to Mikali, but the two big guys refused to let him go. There was no way to stay quiet, so Zahu had to flee. It's a pity that I booked a hotel and the safety was wasted, but it's not bad to travel in the Unova region instead. Then who are you going to get close to? Kona said. President Damilanchi. He made a condition that I can't refuse. Zahu said. What condition? Kona asked curiously. That is to give our beautiful Kanto Ice Queen a year's vacation, so next year we will travel to the Sinnoh region together. Zahu smiled. The president is so generous. Kona said with a happy face. Yes, but after returning to Kanto, I have to avoid Shiba, otherwise I'm afraid I will be killed by his strange power. Zahu said. The Kanto 4 Heavenly Kings were originally short of manpower, and Kikuko's age and qualifications are there. Now she is semi-retired in the Tokiwa gym. Who dares to mess with her? Watari makes excuses every day, so when Kona leaves, most of the work of the alliance will fall on Shiba again. God knows, Shiba hasn't had more than 3 days off for several years. Shiba. Thinking of Shiba's next work, Kona couldn't help but smile sympathetically and gloatingly. Poor Shiba alone, benefiting the 4 Heavenly Kings. The scenery in Unova is pretty nice. We can travel here together when we have time. Zahu said. If you want to travel, it's good to go to Dragon Country. There are many dragon Pokémon there. Although there is no family like the Dragon family, there are many talents coming out of Dragon Country every year. Kona said. Indeed. Zahu nodded. If the plot here is the same as the game, the Dragon Champion of Alice will be born, and even the record of the youngest age of the League Champion will be broken. If there is a chance, we will take a good walk here. With your luck in encountering legendary beasts, you may find Kyurem. Kona said. It is the only known Pokémon with both ice and dragon attributes, and it is also the strongest legendary beast among ice beasts. However, if you really want to encounter it, you have to find Zyozzy. Zahu smiled. Comparing people is annoying. Zyozzy met Zekrom on the first day he came to Unova. Although he was unlucky, meeting Zekrom did not bring him good luck, but made Pikachu lose the ability to use electric special moves, thus creating the most humiliating defeat in the history of Pikachu and Zyozzy. He was defeated by a rookie trainer and the new pet snake in the Kanto Quartz tournament, the top 16 in the Johto Silver tournament, the top 8 in the Hoenn tournament, and the top 4 in the Sinnoh Suzerain tournament. Regius and Latius really died with regrets. You two brothers are really luckier than each other. I can't compare with you. Before I met you, I had only seen Lugia once. Kona said. Don't compare me with Zyozzy, that's too flattering. The last time I talked to him, he even saw Jirachi, which can only be seen once in 1,000 years in the Hoenn region. It's all because of this ridiculous task of the League. Otherwise, it would be great if I could go and take a look. Although I can't subdue it, it's only seen once in 1,000 years. Zahu said regretfully. Jirachi can be seen. Is there any region's legendary beast that Zyozzy hasn't seen? Kona said in surprise. Although Jirachi's actual combat power is not outstanding among legendary beasts, and he only wakes up for a few days in 1,000 years, it is impossible to be tamed, but it is seen once in 1,000 years, and it can also fulfill people's wishes. It is really too dreamy. The legendary beast that Zyozzy has not seen is not recognized by the legendary beast circle. Zahu sighed and talked with Kona while walking. Soon they arrived at the research institute of Dr. Yu in the Unova region. Soon, they saw Dr. Yu. This is the second female doctor that Zahu saw. An expert in the origin of Pokémon, with fluffy brown hair, delicate face, and a white coat, revealing a gentle atmosphere. Drive Zahu, King Kona, you are here. I'm really sorry to bother you to help me with research. Dr. Yu said. Fortunately, anyway, I have some research on the origin of Pokémon, and I'm originally studying this aspect. Zahu said. Drive you, I'm here. Zahu and you were about to exchange a few pleasantries when a young man's voice sounded behind them. Zewdy, is that you? Dr. Yu glanced at the young man, then said to Zahu and Kona, sorry, a new trainer is here. I need to send the new Pokémon over first. No problem, it's not bad to see the new Pokémon in the Unova region. Zahu smiled slightly and walked to the side with Kona, but he couldn't help but look at Zewdy next to him. Among all the Pokémon of all generations, Zyozzy is the most unpleasant rival of Zyozzy. No one else. Originally, this guy should have set off after Zyozzy appeared in the Unova region, but he didn't expect to set off so early. Zewdy looked directly at Dr. Yu, without even looking at Zahu and Kona. Dr. Yu took out 3 Pokeballs, and released the new Pokémon in the Unova region, Nanantu, Water Otter, and Vine Snake one by one. I miss it so much, I've forgotten how it felt when I got my first Pokémon. Kona looked at the 3 new Pokémon, feeling like the past was just flowing. Well sister Kona, I don't want to expose you, but didn't you encounter your first Pokémon, Dragonite, when you were a kid, and then you automatically captured it after you got along well with it? You and I are both different people who didn't get the traditional rookie Pokémon. Zahu smiled. Although I didn't get it before I met Dragonite, I always wondered what it would feel like to get a rookie Pokémon. Thinking back, I was really naive at the time. Kona said. That's right, I was also very happy at the beginning, and I even imagined that one day I would ride Charizard to fly into the sky, but who would have thought that until now, I haven't captured a Charizard. Zahu said. Speaking of which, if you were given a choice among these 3, which one would you choose? Kona said. Let's go with the Viper. After evolving, it looks the best. Zahu said with a smile. Although the strength of Pokémon cannot be judged by race alone, to be honest, among the new Pokémon from different regions, he thinks the 3 from the Unova region are really average. Viper is the most reliable of the 3. The final evolution is Monarch Snake. It looks good, and the key is that it is fast, which is very advantageous in real battles. I'm the one who is choosing Pokémon now. Zewdy, who was choosing Pokémon, seemed dissatisfied with Zahu's comments and looked at Zahu. Chapter 366 Bullying Primary School Students. Yeah, so we are just assuming. I'm not interfering with your decision. You choose. Zahu said calmly. Although he was upset by the inexplicable retort from Zewdy, it would be too embarrassing for him to argue with Zewdy with his status. After getting rid of the identity of the champion, he will educate his little brother. Zewdy, this is Mr. Zahu, the champion of the Hone region, and this is Kona, the Ice King, one of the 4 kings of Kanto. Dr. Yu thought that the conversation with Zewdy would be quick, and he didn't know what Zahu and Kona were thinking, so he didn't introduce them. He didn't expect Zewdy to say it directly. The champion of the Hone region and the king of Kanto. Zewdy looked at Zahu and Kona in shock, and then quickly reacted and said, you are the champion and the king, the masters of the trainer family, let me challenge you. Faced with Zewdy's sudden challenge, Zahu was stunned. A novice who doesn't even have a Pokémon wants to challenge him? Who gave you the confidence? Dr. Yu also said, Zewdy, Dr. Zahu is the champion, you can't compete with him now. That's why I want to challenge you. Dr. Yu, I have already chosen my first Pokémon, Snake. Zewdy said. Okay. Dr. Yu nodded, and then handed a bunch of things for new trainers to Zewdy and said, this is the Pokémon Pokédex, and the Pokéballs prepared for you. When traveling, you can only carry 6 Pokémon with you. This is the basics. Zewdy put all the things away, then looked at Zahu and said, Mr. Zahu, come and compete with me. Compete with you? Are you sure? Zahu showed a playful smile on his face. Of course, you Snake, let me see the gap between me and the champion. Zewdy said. Yes. Zahu nodded and walked to the open space in front, to prepare for the duel. Come out, Vine Snake. Zewdy released his own Vine Snake, then took the camera he carried with him, and took a picture of Zahu, then said to the Vine Snake, this is our first battle, you must perform well. Teng Teng nodded with a serious expression. I won't bully you, lest people say I bully a child. Baby dragon, come out and play. Zahu threw out the baby dragon and said. Baby dragon called out, looking at the Vine Snake in front of him, and also showed a fighting mood. After following Zahu, it trained every day, but because Zahu was an undercover, it didn't have many opportunities to fight. It was abused in the team every day, and now it finally saw a person who felt inferior to itself. Mr. Zahu, you don't have to deliberately retain your strength, use the main pet, and see the difference between each other. Zaudi frowned at the baby dragon. Zahu rolled his eyes. Is there something wrong with this guy's brain circuit? He didn't want to fight with Zaudi. To put it bluntly, with his current identity, fighting Zaudi, even if he won, it would not be glorious to tell others. But, when Zahu watched the cartoons before, he wanted to abuse Zaudi. Now that he has the chance, he will abuse him again, to satisfy his dissatisfaction with watching the cartoons before. Really, with a luller as the dividing line, among the first 5 parts, the Unova animation is the one that Zahu dislikes the most, and he has not watched it all. Zyozzy is mentally retarded throughout the whole film. If the first 3 parts can be barely regarded as a whole, although they were weakened a little at the beginning, you can still vaguely see the previous strength, and generally speaking, each part is growing. Only this one is really Zyozzy from a parallel world. Not to mention Pikachu. At the beginning, Zekrom sealed his electric trick, and was abused by the new pet. After finally recovering, he just went out, and wanted to capture a bean pigeon in the initial form of the Unova region's home bird. He almost flipped over under the attribute restraint. Not to mention the league game, 6 against 5, and still lost. Zyozzy's worst league game, no doubt about it. Zahu doesn't know how he watched it back then, and he still can't recollect it twice. The rival Zaudi is generally recognized as the worst rival. Because of him, Shinji's popularity has been improved a lot. There is no way. Although Shinji has a bad temper, he is at least capable, and has traveled to many regions. Zaudi, a rookie trainer, is mysteriously confident. At one point, he even thought he could challenge the champion of Unova, a deck. Before the final league meeting, he easily defeated Zyozzy in every match with Zyozzy, and showed his disdain for Zyozzy, not taking Zyozzy to heart at all. This is rare in each generation. You must know that no matter whether it is a rival before or after, it has never been like this. Zyomeo, who is a childhood sweetheart, is not to be mentioned. Anew, who met in the competition, is also a good friend. Masamune of Hana and Zyozzy were good friends when they first met. Although Shinji of SYNOPSIS is also bad, he really regarded Zyozzy as an opponent in the later period. During the competition, he prepared carefully. Carlos is not to be mentioned. The only one who broke the law that the old enemy must lose, Alan, participated in the competition because of Zyozzy, and Shota even targeted Zyozzy. The final result was even more rare. He met Zyozzy at the beginning of the conference, and was eliminated by Zyozzy. He was eliminated in the first round of the league conference, which also created the worst record of Zyozzy's strong rival competition. That strong rival battle was also the least watchable one among all the strong rival battles. If you have this ability, I will. You attack first. Zahu said. Okay, Vine Snake, use impact. Zaudi quickly issued an attack order. Then, Vine Snake attacked Baby Dragon without thinking. Squat down, Ironhead. Zahu said calmly. After receiving the order, Baby Dragon lowered his head slightly without panic, using his head as a shield to block in front, and then Vine Snake rushed over at a high speed, with only a bang, and turned around on the ground with stars in his eyes. Spray flames. Zahu said. Baby Dragon raised his head, opened his mouth wide, and sprayed flames, hitting Vine Snake. The flames spread, and Vine Snake couldn't bear it. In the flames, he didn't even scream, and fell to the ground with circles under his eyes. Baby Dragon opened his mouth, and looked at the Vine Snake that was defeated so easily, showing a puzzled expression. He turned his head, and looked at Zahu and shouted, such a weak opponent, you also let me come? Next time, can you change to a stronger one? No problem. Next time, I'll let you come, when I see a stronger one. Zahu said, and took back Baby Dragon. Zyoda's expression was stiff. It's not that he didn't think he would lose, but this loss was too miserable, especially when Zahu only sent out a Baby Dragon. Next time, when I capture more Pokémon, I will beat you, Zyodi said. Next time, I may not have time to tease you, but next year I will go back to Sinnoh to participate in the competition. If you want to compete with me again, go to Sinnoh to challenge the league. Zahu said. I will challenge the Sinnoh League. Zod said. Okay. Zahu shrugged and smiled, turning back. You want to find a younger brother to play with again, so you deliberately come to compete with him. Kona looked at Zahu with a smile on his face. No, it's just that he lacks a beating from society, so I gave him a beating from society. He's just a little brother. Zahu said. Why do I feel like you're taking revenge? Kona looked at Zahu with a strange expression. Just take it as it is. Zahu smiled. I don't know if it counts as revenge for something that hasn't happened yet, but it feels good to be beaten bloodily. Thanks to Moziobe and Gunia and Carrot for the reward. This is the first and second reward I received this month. I'm a little touched. I wanted to add more yesterday, but the hard drive of my computer broke down. I took it to be repaired for a long time and didn't have time to add it. Now I'll make up for it. Chapter 367 The opening of the amusement park. Eternal Mega Evolution has achieved a breakthrough. President Ziffich's Blaziken has completed Eternal Mega Evolution first and will exist forever in a Mega Evolution form. This will be a major breakthrough in Mega Evolution research. On October 25th, the KIR conference will begin. All Mega Evolution enthusiasts are welcome to come and study the Eternal Mega Evolution of various Pokémon. At the U Research Institute, when Zahu and his friends were studying data, a TV advertisement announcement sounded. Eternal Mega Evolution has been born, and the theory is mature. Dr. Yu looked at Zahu in surprise. He knew that in terms of Mega Evolution, Zahu was already an expert comparable to or even surpassing Dr. Blatano. TV ads. Do you believe it? Zahu asked back. Hasn't President Ziffich's Blaziken already evolved eternally? With the credibility of the alliance, it shouldn't be fake. Dr. Yu said. That fire-breathing camel is real. I helped President Ziffich evolve it. But this kind of thing can only happen once, and not twice. At most, we can add the Diamond Jade Soul and the White Jade Soul from the Sinnoh region, a Water Dragon, and a Steel Dragon. But now the only famous Water Dragon is the Thorn Dragon King. As for Steel Dragons, apart from Dialga, it seems that only the Galar region has similar ones. Unless the separation technology is discovered. Otherwise, for now, such a discovery actually has little practical value. If it really has epoch-making significance, it will take at least 30 years. Zahu said. Why is the Alliance suddenly doing this now? Dr. Yu asked curiously. Drive you are so naive. Zahu couldn't help laughing. Mega Evolution has always been the focus of the Alliance, but now the people who have evolved are unwilling to expose themselves, so the Alliance wants to take this opportunity to trick these people out. Is that so? Dr. Yu showed an awkward smile on her face. She focused on research and was not good at the Alliance routines. Although she became a doctor at the same time as Zahu and turned a year earlier, she was much older than Zahu. Now being called naive by Zahu, it was really embarrassing. After a few more nights, the work here should be finished, and I can return to the Hone region to prepare for new work. However, my status as a champion is still there. If the matter of the Alliance conference is not resolved, the research on the Mega Evolution Stone will have to trouble Dr. Yu. Zahu said. This is exactly what I pursue. Dr. Yu smiled. She was naturally very interested in the matter of Mega Evolution. If the work at hand was not really important, she would have wanted to leave early. Then we will work together. If the time is right, we will also invite Dr. Yu to participate in the ribbon cutting ceremony of my amusement park. Zahu said with a smile. Here, we really have to sigh at the speed of action of Kajero and Meow Meow. It has been only a little more than half a month since he assigned the task to the present, and the renovation of the amusement park has been preliminarily completed, and the quality has been recognized by Duan Manufacturing Co. Limited. God knows how these two guys are. In addition, it is worth mentioning that during the period when Zahu was away, after getting some support from Zahu, President Damalanki finally overwhelmed President Darklanli. The final agreement is that Zahu and others will first study the Super Evolution Stone in the Hone region for half a year. If the research is successful within this half year, the Kanto Alliance and the Hone Alliance will share it, and then after half a year, the Super Evolution Stone will be sent back to Kanto. so Zahu finally doesn't have to hide and not go back. Time passed quietly, and another 7 days passed in a flash. Zahu, Kona and Dr. Yu finished their research and boarded the plane to the home region. Then they took a car to the new amusement park. Kehu Amusement Park. Kona looked at the new name of the amusement park and glanced at Zahu thoughtfully. Science and glory. People can tell at a glance that I'm the operator, the charm of science, the brilliance of strength. And it also explains the characteristics of this amusement park, full of the sacred brilliance of science. Zahu said. Really? Kona dragged his voice. Of course, I'm an honest man. Zahu said. Why do I feel more like Kona plus Zahu? Dr. Yu raised his glasses and said. Is that so? Zahu was stunned, as if he had just discovered it, and thought to himself, this is a really honest man. Meow. At this time, a pleasant voice sounded, and a pink light flashed in front of Zahu. Zahu was stunned. Was it a dream just now? He turned around quickly, and looked at a corner on the side. He looked around and finally saw Dream in an alley on the left. Mew seemed to sense Zahu's gaze, tilted its head, and flew over, dancing in the air, waving its tail to greet Zahu. Is that you? How are you doing, since we separated last time? Zahu originally thought it was a Mew he had never seen before, but after chatting, he realized that this Mew was the one that fought Mewtwo. Meow. Mew jumped excitedly, telling Zahu about what happened after they separated, and said that she found the scent of her kind here, so she came to play, and that there were some things in the playground that were very suitable for her to play with, so she had a lot of fun here. Is that so? You already know that. In that case, I will take you to see your companions carefully. And can you lend me one of your eyelashes so that Mew can really become a living Pokémon? Zahu said. The Phantom Mew in the playground has an independent consciousness, which is a living Pokémon, but because of the Phantom system, it cannot be really regarded as a living Pokémon. So Zahu and Professor Oak have recently been studying how to create a body for the Phantom Mew. This technology may be difficult for other researchers, but it is really nothing for Zahu. There is no other way, because Zahu has the data of Mewtwo copying Pokémon. One eyelash can create a copy of a living Pokémon. What's more, it is to create a simple body without a soul. Originally, Zahu was thinking about how to trick Mewtwo into giving him some hair. After all, Mewtwo was created by Mew's genes, but he didn't expect to see the real Mew. Of course, he had to trick the cute Mew. There was a trace of doubt in Mew's cute eyes. He didn't understand what Zahu meant by becoming a living Pokémon. Forget it, I'll take you to play first. Zahu said. Meow. Mew made a joyful cry. Play, it still understands. Have fun. Drive Zahu. Is this how you get along with Pokémon? So there are so many mythical beasts following you? Dr. Yu looked at Zahu in surprise as he walked into the playground with Mew. Personal affinity. His affinity with the mythical beasts has always been very high, but if Professor Yu sees Xiaozi, he will know what is called true affinity with the mythical beasts. Kona said. Xiaozi, is he the younger brother of Professor Zahu? I really need to meet him. Professor Yu said. Kona smiled slightly and walked inside to play with Mew and welcome Mew. Professor Yu was surprised by the Phantom system and became the first experiencer of the amusement park, and he had a good experience. Time passed again, and it was the day for the opening of the amusement park. In order to make his business better, Zahu really decisively sold his old face. The people who attended the ribbon cutting ceremony can be called the summit of the alliance. President Damalanki, Vice President Darkranli, President Zifachi, Professor Oak, Hone Champion himself, Johto Champion Watari, Sinnoh Champion Sarona, Kalos Champion Karuna. The top champions and professors of the alliance in each region all came to show their faces. And then, nothing happened. Anyway, the revenue of Zahu Amusement Park on that day was more than the monthly revenue of the largest amusement park in Hone. Chapter 368 Future Kalos Champion. Kehu Amusement Park opened smoothly. As soon as it opened, it became a hotspot in KIL City and even the entire Hone region. There are endless people coming to play every day, and there are also many trainers coming to challenge. It has only been open for 7 days, but it is so popular that it has spread throughout the entire Hone region. It was so good that Zahu even got a little inflated and wanted to open a Pokémon World Disneyland. As for the research on super evolution, Zahu will not study it in depth for the time being, and will leave it to Professor Oak to lead. He plans to wait until the league conference is over before he can study with them. Therefore, Zahu's life is really comfortable. The teacher is blamed for public work, and Kojiro is blamed for private work. Just sit and collect money. However, it seems that God saw that Zahu's life was so comfortable and deliberately made some trouble for him. Just like at this moment, Zahu, who had just come back with a cup of coffee, saw the scene in front of him. A little blonde girl with a delicate bag on her back knelt on one knee in front of Kona and said sincerely, "Please accept my brother, big sister." Zahu raised his eyebrows. "What are you talking about? Do you think I'm dead?" Kona's beautiful face also showed a strange expression. It's not that he has never experienced being confessed to by someone, but it was the first time for her to be confessed to by a little girl on behalf of her brother. Before he could react, a blonde boy with glasses and a big backpack next to him saw this scene and said frantically, wait a minute, Eulogia." The little girl didn't feel her brother's embarrassment and anger at all, and continued to sell hard. "Don't look at him like this. He is a gym trainer, but he is too gentle and a little unreliable, so I want to help him find a steady wife." Before the little girl finished speaking, a long mechanical arm on the boy's backpack stretched out and grabbed him back, and then heard the boy say, "Your little concern is a big trouble for me. I'm just concerned about my brother." The little girl retorted unwillingly. Seeing this, Kona couldn't help but smile, walked in front of the little girl, pointed at Zahu on the side and said, "If you want your sister to be your brother's wife, you have to get that person's consent first, because your sister has agreed to be his wife in the future." Ah. The little girl was confused. Did she ask the wrong person? "Are you Mr. Zahu?" the blonde boy said in surprise, after seeing Zahu's face clearly. Zahu put his finger between his lips to indicate to keep quiet. The blonde boy looked around and understood what Zahu meant. If he said Zahu was here, many people would probably come around to ask for autographs and advice. "Mr. Zahu, Eureka knows that you are the very powerful trainer on TV." Eureka ran in front of Zahu and said, "Yes, so you just wanted to snatch the future wife of this very powerful trainer." Zahu touched the little girl's hair and smiled. Eureka, with a brother with glasses and a personality that takes the initiative to find a big sister for her brother. There is no doubt about her identity. One of Zyos's travel companions in the 5th part. Her brother is the gym trainer Citron of the Karlasmar gym, an inventor who loves explosions. Although this description is not worthy of this genius inventor, it is true. The two siblings are equivalent to Zyadagang after they separated. The brother inherited Zyadagang's cooking skills, and the sister inherited Zyadagang's habit of chatting up a beautiful big sister when he saw her. Eulogia didn't know. Eulogia admits her mistake. "I'm sorry," Eulogia said obediently. "Since you are so cute, I'll let it go." Zahu smiled. "Thank you." Eulogia smiled sweetly. "Hello, Mr. Zahu. I'm Zitron from Mars City in the Kalas region. This is my sister Eulogia. We came here to play with my father this time. I apologize for my sister's rudeness." Zitron also said immediately. "It's just a small matter. There is no need to use yours. Just call me Zahu. And you said you came with your father. Where is your father?" Zahu asked curiously. "He went to see a friend, so I brought my sister," Zitron said. "Seeking a friend?" Zahu raised his eyebrows imperceptibly. Zitron's father, Limon, is also a hidden master. He usually disguises himself as an ordinary electrical appliance store owner, but behind the scenes, he wears a mask every day and uses the vest of the Flame Chicken mask to be a hero. The strength of the Super Flame Chicken in his hand is also first class. It seems that the eternal super evolution has really attracted a lot of people. Even hidden masters like Limon have come. Meow meow, two childish voices sounded, and Dream and Phantom Dream suddenly floated out from nowhere and floated in front of Eulogia. Eulogia was startled at first, but then she reacted. Her big watery eyes showed excitement. She stretched out her little hand and touched Dream and said, "It's Dream. So cute. Eulogia likes it." The two dreams didn't reject Eulogia at all and played happily around Eulogia. There was a commotion in Eulogia's bag, and a green Pokémon suddenly came out and looked at the two Mews. The two Mews also looked at it curiously. Zioruan, you came out too. You like news, right? Eulogia happily stretched out her hand to take out the Pokémon in her bag with an innocent and happy smile on her face. Zygote Core, Z1. Zahu looked at the Pokémon in Eulogia's hand and said in surprise. It seems that Zahu's emotions fluctuated a bit. Eulogia's Zioruan in her hand was sensitive. She looked up at Zahu with one eye, and her mental power was keen to find a trace of familiarity. How could this person be the same as the previous one? Master Zahu, do you know Zioruan? I asked Dr. Blatano, and he didn't know where Zioruan came from. Zatran asked curiously. I know, but I can't tell you, because the origin of this Pokémon is greater than you think. Now it's just the initial state. If you play to 100%, you can become the champion of Kalos with this one. ZHI smiled slightly and glanced at Eulogia with a strange look. It must be said that Eulogia is really a child of destiny. In the animation, she got the core of Zygote and got Zygote's promise that when Eulogia became a trainer at the age of 10, she would travel with Eulogia. Now, I have changed my development and crippled the Flare team in advance, but I didn't expect to meet him again. If he took Zygote to travel, Zahu felt that the trainers of Kalos Gym would be desperate in the future. Little Soft, is it that powerful? Eulogia raised Little Soft high, her face glowing. No wonder a group of people chased Little Soft when we met it. Fortunately, we had the help of Flame Chicken Mask, so we were able to protect Little Soft. Citron said. So that's how it is. Then you have to protect it. This Pokémon is very important. Zahu nodded, knowing that it was probably the remnant of Team Flare. However, he didn't take it seriously. How should I put it? After Vladimir was killed by Zahu and the negative information of Team Flare was also exposed by Zahu, Team Flare can only survive now. And it has nothing to do with Zahu. Even Doc Ranley didn't take it seriously at all. After all, Team Flare is an organization in the Kalos region and has nothing to do with the Hone region. Whether it is a big fuss or it is wiped out, it will not affect the Hone region. I will protect Little Soft. Eulogia promised solemnly. Protect it well and take it to see more of the bright world. By the way, there will be a grand Pokémon celebration in a few days. Do you want to go and watch it? Zahu said. A grand celebration? Of course. Eulogia nodded her head vigorously, like pounding garlic. Well, don't stay in the hotel, stay at my house first. Zahu said. It must be said that Kajero is strong. When Zahu was a hands-off boss, our lovely classmate Kajero worked day and night to write a plan. After spending 3 days and 3 nights, Kajero finally finalized it and then found that his plan was too grand and the funds were a little insufficient. Kajero domineeringly called his housekeeper and said something. Call me 30 million. I want to start my own business. If the business fails, I will go home and inherit the 10 billion fortune. The money came quickly, so the development was also very fierce. Kajiro also bought the land next door to use as a dormitory building. A terrifying man, so Zahu also became a person who owns a house in Hone. After being the eldest of a rich second generation for 7 years, it was not until today that Zahu felt the joy of making friends with wealthy people. Chapter 369, The King's Reproduction Issue. The Grand Tournament, a large-scale celebration. In the Hone region, the competition is second only to the Alliance Region Conference in terms of importance. Because Zahu abused his power for personal gain, the venue of this year's competition has changed slightly. However, for the participants, they don't care. After all, the location is not important. 247 excellent coordinators who have qualified for the competition and countless spectators who are interested in the grand tournament came from all over the country. Naturally, Zyozzy and his group also included them. Brother. Seeing Zahu, Zyozzy ran over excitedly. Here. Zahu showed a doting smile and then introduced Zyozzy. This is Zatran and Eulogia from the Kalos region. Hello. Zatran and Eulogia greeted politely, and Zyozzy and his group also introduced themselves. Everyone got along well with each other for the first time. Zyaksha and Zyoyao have collected all the ribbon medals, right? Zahu said. Yes. Zyaksha and Zyoyao nodded together. That's good. Keep working hard. I'm optimistic about you. And Zyozzy, you too. Yesterday I talked to Xiaomeo and Shinji on the phone. They both made it to the finals of the Kalos Regional League Conference, which will start in 3 days. But no matter who wins or loses, they are the champion and the runner-up, and you have to work hard, Zahu said. Shinji and Xiaomeo made it to the finals? Xiaozi was extremely excited when he heard these two names. The flames of fighting spirit in his eyes burned fiercely. He looked at Zahu and said, "Brother, I will definitely become the champion in this competition, and then I will play with you. Look forward to it." Zahu smiled. Using Xiaomeo and Shinji to stimulate Xiaozi is really the best way to stimulate him. I won't say much. I'll go to train now. I'm sure I can do it. Xiaozi hurriedly took out his Pokémon and ran to the side for strict training. Xiaozi is so confident, Zatrin said. Zahu looked at Citron and said, "How about you leave the gym for a while and travel with him for a while?" "No, I'm a gym trainer and can't leave the gym for too long." Citron hesitated and refused. "Okay." Zahu didn't force it. As a gym trainer, Citron's strength is naturally good. In terms of inventions, although he explodes every day, his creativity is actually very good, but he lacks confidence, which is in sharp contrast with Xiaozi. So in the animation, he chose to follow Xiaozi, hoping that he would be more confident with Xiaozi. However, whether to travel or not is Citron's business, and Zahu has no right to decide. Besides, Zahu's suggestion is actually more of a little dark. How to say it? He really wants to see who can grab the other. If Xiaogang and Eulogia travel at the same time and see a beautiful big sister at the same time. However, this idea is a little dark and does not fit his image as a kind and reliable big brother, so Zahu is embarrassed to say it. "By the way, you have been traveling for more than half a year. What have you gained along the way?" Zahu looked at Xiaoxia and the others and said, "Yes, we have gained a lot of companions." Xiaoxia swung her Pokeball and released 5 Pokémon. In addition to the 4 old companions of Gyarados, Milotic, Psyduck and Meryl, there was also a Swampert and a Sakura fish. When Zahu saw the Swampert, his expression was slightly stunned. If he remembered correctly, Xiaogang seemed to have captured a Swampert here, and now it was Xiaoxia who had it. It seems that the butterfly effect he triggered. Under normal circumstances, Xiaogang would not compete with Xiaoxia for water Pokémon, but Xiaoxia would love water Pokémon very much when she saw it. "Xiaogang, what Pokémon did you capture again?" Zahu asked. "It's them." Xiaogang also swung his Pokeball and released all his Pokémon. Foratus, Lotkappa, and Yukara. That's right, the last Yukara. Zahu glanced at the Swampert on the side and then looked at this Yukara. Is this compensation arranged by God? One Swampert was lost, and one Yukara was replaced. This is not a small profit. After Xiaoxia and Xiaogang showed their Pokémon one after another, Xiaoyao also threw out her Pokémon, a total of 5. Strong Chicken, Bulbasaur, Hunting Swallowtail, Cattail, and a little Snorlax that Zahu missed very much. Thinking back to the past, when Zahu was raising it, he was very sad and tearful. Reaching out and touching the round belly of the little Snorlax suddenly opened its mouth, as if it smelled something delicious, and bit towards Zahu's hand, as fast as the wind, but Zahu's hand was like a prophet, and he moved away at super fast speed, and then quickly took out an energy cube from his pocket, and threw it into the mouth of the little Snorlax. The little Snorlax took a bite, and was immediately satisfied. He immediately lay down again, and fell asleep on the ground. As expected of Master Zahu, he is so amazing that he can easily dodge the sudden attack of Pokémon. Zatrin said with admiration. "Yes, brother, you have to study hard." Eulogia said. "Yeah." Zatrin nodded his head frantically, thinking that he could learn more. Kona was watching from the side and found it funny. After spending the past few days together, she had a good impression of Zatrin and his sister, but she always felt that the personalities of this pair of siblings should be reversed. The brother lacks confidence a lot, while the sister is more confident. Moreover, the brother is physically useless, while the sister is a physical expert. If it weren't for Eulogia's childish side, Kona would have thought that these two people could be reversed. Master Zahu. At this time, another voice sounded, and Zahu turned around and found that it was Xiaoyao's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Kyanli. It was rare that the couple still remembered that they had a son and daughter and did not continue to immerse themselves in the world of two people, but came to watch on the spot. Although I often call home to inform them when I travel, video chat is always different from actually meeting in person. Zahu didn't intend to disturb other people's family gatherings, so he was about to leave, but found Kyanli catching up with him. He was slightly curious, but Kyanli didn't hesitate and went straight to the point. Master Zahu, in the live video, the King of Leave can fight against Groudon. How did he do that? After hearing Kyanli's words, Zahu suddenly realized what was going on. He almost forgot that Kyanli was the undisputed number one in the training of the King of Leave. In fact, Kyanli was not the first to ask Zahu such a question. After Dragonite returned to its original state, Du was the first to call. After knowing that Dragonite would always retain its original state, the Yulong family offered an unimaginable generous condition to fight for Zahu's Dragonite's mating rights. The negotiations are still ongoing, but based on the current conditions, even if Zahu had nothing before, he would not have to worry about the 3 generations of Zahu if he took the conditions of the Yulong family. Unexpectedly, Kyanli came to the door himself. But Dragonite itself is not a good person. He has not figured out how to fool him, let alone the King of Leave. Even if he has become a real beast of level 670 and a Pokémon in Zahu's hands, he is still sleeping there. What's the point of reproducing offspring? Get up. How tired. It's just that Snorlax is a little pitiful. The little brother turned over and became the master, and he couldn't beat him. He was aggrieved like a fat man. For this reason, Zahu specially prepared a lot of comforting words, but Snorlax fell asleep before he finished comforting him. Zahu was so angry with it that he didn't care about it. He just separated it in the living arrangements to prevent the 2 big guys from fighting. Next, how to fool this? Chapter 370, a hasty large-scale celebration. Finally I fooled him. After wasting a lot of time to deal with Kyanli, Zyozzy sat in the audience to watch the grand celebration and said with relief. Although they were not familiar with each other, Zyozzy, Zyoyao and Zyasheng were all friends, and Kyanli had a different status in Hone, so it was not easy to refuse directly. Fool? Do you really need to use this word? Kona laughed. It's necessary. Zahu shrugged. There were some things that he even hid from Kona. Mega Evolution can change the pattern of Pokémon duels, and Eternal Mega Evolution may even change the strength of Pokémon alliances and families in various regions. And the Eternal Mega Evolution of Dragonite and King of Leave may change the pattern of the world. Because their Eternal Mega Evolution is the original return form, both are monster level. Zahu is not afraid of being investigated for Dragonite, and he doesn't care about lending it out to reproduce. Because Dragonite has a special bloodline, it is unique except for the real ancient Dragonite that has already fallen asleep. But King of Leave is not. Any King of Leave has this possibility. As long as the Super Evolution Stone, the original energy and Zahu, who can transfer energy, are gathered, there is a great possibility of a successful original return. And these 3 conditions are not impossible to come up with. The Super Evolution Stone is there, and the original energy is very rare, but as long as you want to find it, you will definitely find it. As for Zahu's role, it can be replaced by modern technology. So during this period, Zahu tried to create an illusion that his King of Leave is as unique as Dragonite. During the period of escaping from the Alliance, Zahu also took away all the information related to the original return of the King of Leave. What he prevented was the original return of a large number of Kings of Leave. The energy of the Super Evolution Stone is difficult to estimate, and the number of Kings of Leave in various places cannot be counted. If all the Kings of Leave return to their original state, then the person who possesses this power really has the power to subvert the world. So before making all preparations, Zahu kept all the information about the original return of the King of Leave in his heart, and never spread it to others. Mrs. Milotic is so pretty. Eureka wants to be a coordinated trainer like her in the future. Zahu and Kona were talking. Eureka saw the amazing beauty of Mrs. Milotic on the field, and clapped her hands happily. Okay, then you should work hard with your Pokémon in the future. Zahu commented with a smile, looking at the game on the field, and was also satisfied with Mrs.'s performance. He exuded the charm of Milotic through his water type special moves. The final score was 92. It was already a very high score in a round of performances, and it was estimated that she could get a top 10 ranking in a round. However, Misty's charm peak did not last long before she was surpassed. Robert, a trainer who also used Milotic, scored 98 in a round. Not bad, showing the charm of Milotic's special moves to the fullest, a player who is in the top 4 and looking forward to the first place. Kona said, as an expert in water-type Pokémon, he naturally saw at a glance that Milotic had both strength and power. That's right, according to the previous holdings of this gorgeous competition, he ranked first among the 4 seeded players selected. Zahu said. 4? Which 4? Asked the little Lalita Eulogia with a curious look on her face. Robert, Zio-shun, Zio-mei, Melina. Just 2 men and 2 women. Zahu said. Zio-shun? Kona frowned, the name was a little familiar. Yes, it's Zio-ao's rival, the green-haired boy who is performing on the stage now. Zahu raised his head and looked at the field. A rain-winged moth was flying, and colorful bubbles were flying all over the sky, full of psychedelic charm. The final score was 96. It's a bit difficult for Zio-ao to catch up with such a level. Kona said. It's difficult, so we have to pursue it. If it's too easy to defeat, what's the point of calling it a strong enemy target? Zahu smiled, but looking at the green-haired Zio-shun, Zahu felt a little playful. Zio-ao has 2 rivals in total, one is Zio-shun, and the other is Harry who appeared before. And these 2 people, Zio-shun has green hair covering his head, and Harry thinks that cosplaying Mengonair is all green, including his head. So these 2 guys can become Zio-ao's rivals. Is it because they have a layer of green on their heads? Zahu showed a wicked smile on his face. Regardless of Zahu's diverse ideas, the gorgeous competition performance on the stage continued. Countless coordination trainers tried their best to show the charm of Pokémon, showing a wonderful performance. Soon, a round passed, but after a round, 247 contestants were screened into 64 people, and then they were screened again with charm, and finally fought gorgeously. In general, the battle time is much less than the performance time. Therefore, the gorgeous large-scale celebration only takes 1 day. After all, the 2 performances do not consume the physical strength of Pokémon, and each battle after that only lasts 5 minutes. So it's a direct 1-to-1 competition, unlike the regional league meeting, where the 6-to-6 showdown has to be split up. Zahu and Kona happily became spectators for a day and gained a lot. It's a pity that Zio-ao and Zio-aksha did not become the champions of the large-scale celebration. It also conforms to the consistent lore of Zio and his group. However, the 2 lost with a sense of defeat. One lost to the runner-up Zio-shun, and the other lost to the champion Robert. This left a very meaningful mark on the career of the 2 coordinated trainers. Then, Zio-aksha took the lead, and advocated that Zahu treat Zahu. Zahu of course had nothing to say. It was a celebration, he was happy, and he had money, so he was ripped off. At 7 o'clock in the evening, all the doors of the amusement park were closed, and the whole amusement park was a party, brightly lit, and all the Pokémon were also caught up in the carnival. Diplomat Pikachu wore a specially made cute little outfit, and danced happily with a group of Pokémon. The 2 Mew were also attracted. Although Pikachu had completely forgotten the original memory, he welcomed Mew as soon as he saw it, and reached out to hold Mew's hand. Mew did not refuse at all. Zahu was amused. During this time, Mew had been playing with Phantom Mewtwo and Zahu's Pokémon in the amusement park, and had no intention of leaving. Zahu also let it go as it pleased. For him now, it would be best if he had one more Pokémon, which would be the icing on the cake. If he didn't have one, it didn't matter. Don't worry, just be friends. Anyway, Pokémon is cute and fun. Zahu didn't have any restrictions, and everyone had fun. The atmosphere was very lively, until a surprise cry came. It's Pokémon. Then a Pokéball was thrown from a distance, hitting Pokémon, and Pokéball was collected. The Pokéball bounced on the ground. The red light flashed for a while, and the whole Pokéball exploded. Pokémon's little face flew into the air angrily. Someone actually wanted to catch it? The 2 eyes stared at Zahu with wide eyes. I treat you as a friend, and you actually want to catch me? This has nothing to do with me. If I want to catch you, I won't be stupid enough to throw a Pokéball. Zahu spread his hands and said. Pokémon nodded and agreed with Zahu's statement. It seemed to be like this, and then stared in front of him, who was so bold as to want to subdue it. Zahu also looked over with curiosity. Those who came here to participate were either their own people, who knew the relationship between Zahu and Menghun, and would not be stupid enough to subdue him, or they were the elders who came to play, such as Professor Oak, who were all masters in their fields, and had no reason to throw the ball so presumptuously. Under the dual gazes of Menghun and Zahu, a 10-year-old child with 2 stupid hairs on his head appeared in front of them, looking at Menghun with excitement and said, Menghun, I want to subdue you. Chapter 371. Another mysteriously confident child. The unexpected event attracted everyone's attention. Who is this kid? He actually wants to capture Mew? Or just throw a ball to capture it? After finding the culprit, Mew glared at the kid angrily. He wanted to capture it. Was he asking for a fight? Zahu also frowned. At the party he was throwing, he just captured it without saying anything. This was not giving face. What if it was not Mew, but another Pokémon, and it was really captured? Or, if Mew got angry, who knows how many people here would die? The fighting power of this Mew is not less than that of Mewtwo before it evolved, and it may even be better. It's just that it's playful and not serious. Zahu is sure to defeat it, but it's impossible to say that there is no trouble at all. And this brat didn't know he was wrong at all. Before he could ask a question, the aloof kid threw another Pokéball. Mew's expression became even angrier, and he threw out a telekinesis, which directly exploded the Pokéball. That's enough. Seeing that the arrow-haired kid was still trying to throw the Pokéball foolishly, Zahu said coldly, who are you? Zahu, I'm sorry, this is Zaoheo, the student I brought with me. A middle-aged man wearing glasses ran over and said, then pressed the kid's head and said, why don't you apologize to Dr. Zahu? Drive security. Zahu frowned slightly, and it was not easy to get angry again. Dr. Security, also a doctor in Kanto, although he was not as good as Dr. Rokentim, but he was also a doctor. He recently set up a research institute in Vermilion City in Kanto, and had a good relationship with Zahu. Drive security, I'm right, that's Mew, the first Pokémon Ice Water capture. Now I see it, I want to capture it. The kid Zaoheo said anxiously. Hearing Zaoheo's words, many people burst out laughing. The first Pokémon Ice Water capture was Mew, so what? Some of them also thought that the first Pokémon in the future would be Kyogre, and what about Groudon? But who succeeded in the end? It's not a simple matter to capture Pokémon. Except for the new Pokémon that have been specially trained and provided to new trainers, Pokémon generally won't get close to humans. If you want to capture one, you must fight them. In the end, the good old man, Professor Oak, came out to explain gently. Isn't it enough to throw the Pokéball? Zaoheo said. Don't be nervous, unless the Pokémon agrees. Professor Oak said. Just let the Pokémon agree. Zaoheo's eyes lit up, and with a mysterious confidence, he walked in front of Dream and said, Dream, do you still remember me? When I was a child, I went to Professor Oak's research institute. You saved me? Do you remember? Can you be my Pokémon? Dream looked at Zaoheo with confused eyes. Did she save this person? Maybe? Dream thought uncertainly. It has a naughty personality, and is kind by nature. When it is not asleep, it plays everywhere. When it sees people or Pokémon in distress, it will help. It has lived for hundreds of years. How can it remember how many people or Pokémon it has saved? However, it is completely impossible to capture it. Thinking of this, Dream flicked its tail, and instantly moved away, disappearing from the spot. Dream. Zaoheo shouted anxiously as he looked at the disappearing Dream. Stop shouting. With your capital, you don't have the qualifications to let Dream be your Pokémon. Zhihu, I said unhappily. Why? Dream and I met when we were kids, and Dream saved me. This is our fate. I vowed to capture Dream since I was a kid. Zaoheo said. Fate. Sorry, everyone here has seen Dream, and many people have seen different mythical beasts. Do you think these mythical beasts will follow them? Seeing is the same as owning. Your Chinese teacher will be pissed off by you. I think you should go home and study for a few more years. Zhihu, I said unhappily. It is a question whether Dream will come back after leaving. Although losing Dream is not a big loss, after all, it was not his in the first place, but it is not good to just leave like this. Even if you don't capture it, it is pleasing to watch. As a result, this bastard came and drove away Mew. If there weren't a group of people around, and Zahu was a celebrity who had to pay attention to his identity, Zahu would have tortured the kid to death. You don't understand. I love Pokémon very much, Zioheo said. Are you willing to die for Pokémon? Zahu said. Zioheo. When asked this question, I really don't know how to answer. He likes Pokémon. He really likes it. He can say that he is willing to die for Pokémon. Here is someone who doesn't take his own life seriously for Pokémon. Zahu pointed at Xiaozi and then said, can you do it? There are so many people who love Pokémon, and there are so many people who are destined to be with you. You don't have any special skills. Why do you think you can conquer Mew? It's okay for children to have dreams, but don't be too reckless and harm the interests of others. I can definitely conquer Mew. You are attacking me. Do you also want to conquer Mew? And then stop me? Zioheo looked at Zahu and said. Zahu looked at Zioheo with an expression of is there something wrong with your brain, but he was too lazy to pay attention to him in the end. He threw a Pokeball and released Jenga, saying, Jenga, I'll give you a nightmare meal. Jenga showed a happy expression and immediately hypnotized Zioheo and gave him a nightmare meal. Drive security, I'm sorry, I can't bear your student. Take him away. Also, tell him that if he wants to seek revenge on me, he should capture Pokémon and be a good trainer. Otherwise, just be a researcher. Zahu said. I'll tell him. Dr. Sakuragi looked embarrassed because his daughter had a good relationship with Zioheo and often went to the institute to study with him, so he brought Zioheo here this time. He didn't expect such an embarrassing thing to happen as soon as he came. Fortunately, it was just a nightmare, a small punishment. It was nothing serious. It was a small episode and did not cause much impact. Everyone still had fun. When the party was about to end, President Docrani went to Zahu and said, the Regional Union Conference will start the day after tomorrow. You, Mikali, and Genji will open the conference and give speeches. No problem, I will watch the whole thing, and there will be a show at the end, to make up for my regret of not being able to attend. Zahu said. Zahu, you've had enough. With your current strength, you can crush everyone even in the championship game. Why are you still attending the Regional Union Conference? Are you addicted to bullying elementary school students? President Docranley said unhappily. He really couldn't understand why Zahu, a champion, actually wanted to challenge the gym and participate in the Union Conference. Is it fun to bully children? This is a pleasure you can't understand. Zahu said. Okay, but after the Regional Union Conference, it will be the championship game, and the new 4 Heavenly Kings of the Hone region will be born. This job is your responsibility as a champion. This is your first time doing it, so you must do it perfectly. President Docranley said. Don't worry, this is also my last time doing it, and it will definitely end perfectly. Zahu said. That depends on you finding someone to fill the hole. Otherwise I tell you, don't even think about leaving. Also, even if you don't become the champion, the research on the Mega Evolution Stone is there, and you have to stay in Hone for at least another half a year. President Docranley said. President Docranley, you also know that the Hone champion is a pit. Zahu looked at President Docranley as if he had discovered some great secret. It's my bad luck, the champions I value are all pits. President Docranley said with a dark face. Zahu touched his nose awkwardly, thinking, don't worry, I will find you someone who is a pitter than me, so that you will think that I'm not bad. At the party, Mikali, who was chatting with Genji, suddenly sneezed, and his body was slightly cold, as if someone was plotting against him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372, Xiaozi, the champion of the KIR conference. After several days of competition, the finals of the Hone League KIR conference has finally begun. The red team is from Himura from Liuli City, and the green team is from Pallet Town. Ash's Pikachu is amazing. With such a powerful 100,000 volts, it easily defeated Himura's Ursalan. Ash's King Swallow is worthy of being evolved from Mogile. After enduring two 100,000 volts from Himura's Raidenman, it was able to use a spin attack and defeat Himura's Raidenman. It's incredible. He is worthy of being the younger brother of the champion Master Zahu. It appeared. The legendary Bond evolution, the Bond evolution, that only the champion Master Zahu and Satoshi can use, Mega Lucario, is really amazing. As soon as it appeared, it defeated Himura's Violent Salamander with Dragon Wave. The decisive blow. Satoshi's Lucario is worthy of being a Bond evolved Mega Pokémon. It defeated Himura's Lizard King with one punch. The champion of the Hone League Saiyajin Conference has been born, and that is Zyozzy. The commentator explained the situation passionately. Zyozzy looked at the fallen Lizard King on the opposite side, and only after hearing the commentator's voice did he react vaguely that he had won, and he was finally the champion. Then he jumped up and shouted, "I'm the champion. Mom, brother, did you see it? I'm the champion." Extremely excited, Zyozzy directly raised the trophy and shouted to all the cameras in the audience, "Hello everyone, I'm Zyozzy from Pallet Town. I'm the champion." In the audience, Zyomeo, who had just finished the Kalos League finals and rushed back to watch the game, saw Zyozzy's forgetful expression and immediately showed a disdainful and sarcastic smile and said, "Stupid, isn't it just a championship? You are so excited, Zyomeo, when you won the championship in the Kalos region. It seems that you are not much better than Zyozzy. How about I send the video here for everyone to see?" Zahu said. "Is there a video of this thing?" Zyomeo said with a hint of embarrassment. "The regional league conference is recorded in its entirety. If I want to find it, I can definitely find it," Zahu said with a wicked smile. "Then my performance must be better than Zyozzy's," Zyomeo said with his neck stiff. "That's right." Zahu nodded. He admitted this. Looking at Zyozzy, who was forgetting himself on the field, Zahu showed an inexplicable smile on his face. This guy finally became the champion. Although he was only the champion of the regional league conference and the starting point of the road to becoming a Pokémon master, it really meant a lot to Zyozzy. Looking at Zyozzy on the podium, Zahu even had the urge to cry. In a sense, his childhood could be said to be perfect. I thought that I could laugh at Zyozzy after winning the championship in the Kalos region. I didn't expect that Zyozzy, this idiot, would also become the champion without any glory. Zyomeo couldn't understand Zahu's feelings and just said with a look of loss, Zyomeo, don't be offended by what I've said. I expected Zyozzy to win the championship, but I didn't expect you to win the championship. In the match between you and Shinji, if Shinji's Charizard hadn't been injured in the previous match with the opponent's Mega Evolved Lightning Dragon, you might not have won, Zahu said. To be honest, Zahu was not surprised that Zyozzy won the Hone League. Although Zyozzy's protagonist Halo became a hindrance when he encountered a competition, he continued to hover between the top 4 and the top 8. But with Zyozzy's current strength, unless another divine beast man appears, with Zyozzy's current strength, no one can stop him at the Saiyajin conference. You know, in the anime, Zyozzy's Hone League lineup can be said to be the worst except for the Quartz Conference and the mysterious Unova Regional Alliance Conference. The leading forest lizard of this tournament has not evolved into the Lizard King yet, lacking in strength, and can only ask the King Swallow to share the burden. The remaining Coal Turtle, a half-cannon fodder turtle, has a worrying level of combat effectiveness. The Lobster Soldier can only be said to be not a drag, but not outstanding. The Ice Ghost Guard just evolved and appeared, which is not bad, but not particularly outstanding. Not to mention the Pikachu, that sometimes performs and sometimes doesn't. But with such a fairy lineup, Zyozzy made it all the way to the quarterfinals, and the one who defeated him was the champion that time, Tetsuya, and he only lost with a slight disadvantage. If the Coal Turtle was replaced by Charizard and the Lobster Soldier was replaced by Snorlax, they would definitely not lose. And this time, with the super evolved Lucario, it was normal to win. Winning is winning, losing is losing. I'm not as skilled as others, and lost to Zyomeo. Even if I do it again, I'm not sure of winning, Shinji said on the side. No, I'm not sure of winning again. Xiaomao said that his victory was indeed a bit of luck. Okay, stop complimenting each other. You will participate in the Sinnoh League Lily of the Valley tournament together next year, and you will have the opportunity to fight again. Zahu said. It is hard to say who is stronger between Shinji and Xiaomao. It can only be said that they are on paragraph. In the Johto League Silver tournament, Shinji was slightly better, but Xiaomao has a strong background and a wide network of contacts. Traveling with two champions, although Watari and Daigo did not teach them specifically, traveling together always allows you to learn a lot of things, especially later. Daigo took Xiaomao to learn from Shumi, the Water King of the Kalos region, how to use the super evolved Blastoise. Then, by chance, they learned the ultimate move to deal with Dragon type Pokémon, Dragon Wave. The characteristic of Mega Blastoise is to increase the power of wave type moves, so it defeated Charizard in the end. Yes, it's a pity that you, Brother Zahu, are already the champion and can't participate anymore. Xiaomao said. Don't worry about that. I won't be the champion for long. In the Sinnoh League, you will remember the fear of being dominated by me again. Zahu showed an evil smile to Xiaomao and Shinji. Xiaomao and Shinji's bodies turned cold and shuddered. Brother Zahu, why don't you want to be the champion? Isn't the champion the highest honor for a trainer? Yurika wants to be a champion like Miss Kiruno in the future. Yurika asked curiously. It's not that I don't want to be the champion, but I don't want to be the champion now. And with my strength, I can be the champion anywhere, so there is no rush. Zahu said indifferently. Xiaomao, Shinji, why don't you go to the Unova region next year? In short, avoid Zahu, otherwise no matter how well you prepare, you will be beaten. Lacey, who was also curious about the Eternal Super Evolution, couldn't help but say when he saw this. No, Brother Zahu, if you say you want to participate in a new region, there will only be Pokémon from the new region. In this way, we still have a chance and can win. Xiaomao said. Is that so? Then there is a little chance. Lacey said. Why don't you come and compete with me? Zahu said. I wanted to, but I've already fought in the Sinnoh League. Shinji said. Then how about fighting in the Battle Frontier? Zahu said. Maybe I can answer the question raised by Mr. Kamishiro. Lacey's face showed a solemn look. Speaking of Mr. Kamishiro, I still have an agreement with him, but unfortunately my Zapdos and Moltres are now gods, and won't come back, so we can't fight 3-on-3 again. Zahu said. I don't want to talk to you, a trainer with a legendary beast. Lacey said, just bullying him for not having a legendary beast. Then let's go to the Kalos region to dig for stones. Zahu said. I wanted to, but I didn't dig any. Lacey said. That's true. Zahu nodded. The Mega Evolution stones are concentrated in the Kalos region, but that doesn't mean there are more Mega Evolutions in the Kalos region. On the contrary, there are fewer. It's really amazing that Shinji and Xiaomao can find Mega Evolution stones. By the way, Xiaomao, Shinji, the two of you are now almost as strong as before. It's time to go to the frontier and improve. After watching the friendly exhibition match and the King's match between Xiaozi and me, you can set off. Otherwise, you may be unlucky in the Sinnoh match and be swept away by others. Zahu said. Sinnoh, the man of the mythical beasts. Shinji nodded seriously, with a hint of heat in his eyes. In the list of opponents he most wanted to defeat, Zahu was first and Shinde was second. Zahu smiled slightly and looked at Xiaozi on the field. It was called an exhibition match, but it was almost the final between you and me. Finally, you became the champion. You have completed the primary stage. Next, let me show you a wider sky and let you know how long the road is between ordinary champions and Pokémon Masters. I set the wrong time for posting this chapter, and no one told me. I just found it now. But it seems that it is still okay for me to update twice tomorrow. My cousin is getting married tomorrow and I have to go to the banquet and help with some other things, so I will only update twice. The day after tomorrow may also be affected, and I will slowly make up for it the day after that. Chapter 373 Championship Exhibition. Today, there will be a friendly exhibition match between Mr. Zahu, the champion of Hone, and Xiaozi, the champion of this year's KIR conference. It is worth mentioning that the two participating in the performance today are brothers. Let us look forward to the next wonderful brother showdown. The commentator sat in the commentary room, passionately commentating, mobilizing the enthusiasm of the audience. It must be said that the showdown between the current champion and the champion of the regional conference is very attractive to ordinary audiences. With the gimmick of the brother showdown, it is easy to make the audience boil. Brother, I finally waited for the opportunity to compete with you openly. Let's use the Pokémon captured in the home region together. Zyozzy said. Okay, it's always good to give you a little advantage. But, you saw your strength, I won't show mercy. Zahu said. I wish for it. Zyozzy said. Baby Dragonite, come out to make your debut. Zahu said. As an exhibition match, he is also the champion. In fact, to some extent, it is similar to the gym match, except that he is no longer a challenger, but a gym trainer. Baby Dragon chewed with his mouth, showing a good tooth. Because Zahu was an undercover agent, he stayed in the research institute for a long time. During this time, he learned some tricks to win favor from his senior Snorlax. He must have a strong record, otherwise a cute pet will fall out of favor. Dragon-type Pokémon are afraid of Ice-type tricks. Ice Devil. Zyozzy threw the Pokéball, and an Ice Devil appeared on the field, with a huge mouth opened, revealing a chill. Master Zahu sent Baby Dragon, the original form of our home region's guardian, the violent salamander, at the beginning, and Zyozzy was not to be outdone, and released Ice Devil, an Ice-type Pokémon that specifically restrains Dragon-type Pokémon. Master Zahu, how should we deal with it? The commentator explained the basic situation. Ice Devil, use Frozen Wind. Zyozzy took the lead in issuing an attack command. Ice Devil opened his mouth wide, and a large piece of strong cold current erupted towards Baby Dragon. Spray flames. Zahu said calmly. A ball of flames spurted out of the Baby Dragon's mouth, colliding violently with the Ice Ghost's Frozen Wind. The flames melted the ice, and raised a white mist in the field, blocking the view. Baby Dragon, keep spraying flames. Zahu said. Baby Dragon in the white mist heard the order and immediately raised his head to spray flames and continued to attack in the direction just now. Soon, an Ice Ghost was knocked out and fell in the field. As expected of the youngest champion master, Zahu's Baby Dragon sprayed flames and easily hit the Ice Ghost in the white mist. Excellent tactics. The commentator said. Brother, why can you hit my Ice Ghost when you can't see? Baby Dragon is not like Squirtle who can see through the smoke. Zyozzy said in surprise. That's right, Baby Dragon's vision is not as strong as Squirtle's, but the Ice Ghost has no hands and feet, and cannot float freely, so it moves slowly. As long as the range of Baby Dragon's flames is slightly expanded, and it attacks in the direction just now, even if the Ice Ghost dodges, it will be useless. Zahu said. Is that so? Zyozzy nodded in realization, and then shouted with blood boiling. But, you can't defeat my Ice Devil like this. Ice Devil, stand up, I believe you can do it. After hearing this, Ice Devil stood up immediately, with fighting spirit in his eyes. Although it was hit by the flame, the Baby Dragon itself is not a fire-type Pokémon, and the power of the flame spray is limited. Secondly, in order to hit, the Baby Dragon expanded the range of the flame, and the power was naturally small. Although there is attribute restraint, the damage is not too great. Ice Devil, use the freezing ray. Zyozzy shouted. The ice ball in the mouth of the ice demon condensed, and the cold light was fierce, and it sprayed out domineeringly. Baby Dragon, Shadow Clone. Zahu said. The Baby Dragon Shadow Clone, in an instant, split into a dozen clones, and the freezing ray only hit nothing. Ice Devil, don't panic, calm down, use the freezing ray. From left to right, all hit. Zyozzy said. Ice Devil sprayed the freezing ray again, attacking from left to right. Iron Head skill. Zahu shouted coldly. The Ice Ghost Guard used the freezing ray to attack from left to right, sweeping across the phantoms. It was fierce, but it also slowed down. The Baby Dragon in the middle suddenly hit it hard, like a cannonball, hitting the Ice Ghost Guard hard, knocking the Ice Ghost Guard to the ground. Spray flames. Zahu said. The Baby Dragon lowered its head and sprayed, and the strong flame sprayed back, covering the Ice Ghost Guard's face. The Ice Ghost Guard couldn't fight and fell to the ground with circles under his eyes. Ice Ghost Guard, lose the ability to fight. the referee pronounced in time. When attacking a large area, remember to use group attacks like freezing wind, and don't stick to the power of the freezing ray trick. Don't forget, you, the ice ghost guard, only learned the freezing ray at the beginning of the competition. Now the speed of using it is not improved. If you use it to attack phantoms, you will only die miserably. Do you understand? Zahu said. I know, brother. Zyros said honestly. The joy of winning the championship disappeared without a trace in this game. Compared with his brother, he was still far behind. Let me see your growth in the Hone region. Don't let me down. Zahu said. I will. Cold Turtle, you're next. Zyros threw the Pokeball, and a Cold Turtle appeared on the field. It took a deep breath from its nose and a cloud of smoke burst out. Zahu waved his hand in front of his nose. Zyros' Cold Turtle was good in everything, except that it was easily moved. However, since Cold Turtle was out, he should also change his Pokémon. Just thinking about it, the baby dragon that defeated the Ice Demon Guard was excited, and suddenly a white light came out of its body. When the light dissipated, the baby dragon had disappeared and evolved into a four-legged dragon covered with a layer of hard shell. After defeating Zyros' Ice Ghost Guard, the champion Master Zahu's Dragonite successfully evolved into a Kabutosaurus. Will there be a fierce battle between Kabutosaurus and Cold Turret next? Said the commentator. Seeing Pokémon evolve and battle is his favorite thing, because many viewers don't know much about Pokémon, so they want to see something new like evolution. Evolved. Zahu smiled, and he was one step closer to becoming a salamander that could fly freely in the sky. However, Kabutosaurus' body has become much larger, and he will lose the benefit of flying in the sky with small rockets in the future. Kabutosaurus, come back first. This Cold Turret is not your opponent. Zahu took back Kabutosaurus and released Steelix. Steelix suddenly appeared in the field. When he saw Zyros' Cold Turret, his originally ferocious expression became even more ferocious, and his eyes were as sharp as a blade. When Zyros' Cold Turret saw Steelix, a large cloud of smoke immediately blew out of the shell on its back, showing its excitement. When facing Dragonite, Zyros released the unfavorable Cold Tortoise, and Zahu even took back the evolved Kabutosaurus, and released Steelix with unfavorable attributes instead. Steelix and Cold Tortoise showed extremely hostile emotions when they met. Is there any special relationship between the two Pokémon? The commentator was surprised. He was also a veteran, but watching this game, he felt a little confused. It is not uncommon to release Pokémon with unfavorable attributes, but it is the first time to replace the unfavorable attributes with a favorable attribute. Brother, this Steelix, can't it be the one in Full Metal Valley? Zyros was surprised. Yes, it's that one. Zahu smiled. It was only after he captured Steelix that he asked Steelix about the past of Steelix and Zyros' Cold Tortoise. Zyros' Cold Tortoise once challenged Steelix in Full Metal Valley, but Steelix was the leader of Full Metal Valley and was very powerful. Even though Cold Tortoise had attribute restraint, it was still slaughtered. So, Cold Tortoise gambled on the dignity of a fire-type Pokémon and came to Steelix every day to challenge, but he was defeated again and again. It was not until Zyros challenged the Kamagem and passed by Steelix that he met this Cold Tortoise and commanded Cold Tortoise to defeat Steelix with a heavy attack, which ended this period of history. Now when the old enemies meet, they are particularly jealous. Chapter 374, Powerful Steel Snake. Cold Turtle, don't be afraid, we have already won once, use Jet Flame. Zyros encouraged. Cold Turtle launched an attack, spewing out a stream of scorching flames. Dragon Breath. Zahu said. A cyan energy wave emerged from Steelix's mouth, confronting the jet flame head-on, colliding with the flames, and even pressing back, hitting Cold Turtle. Cold Turtle, hold on. Zyros shouted. Cold Turtle stretched out its head, and smoke flashed on its body. Facing Steelix, it would never admit defeat. Invisible Rock. Zahu said calmly. Steelix's power surged, and several strange rocks immediately appeared on the ground. Master Zahu has already started using the ground move Invisible Rock, which can cause damage to the Pokémon that takes over. Could it be that Master Zahu is already sure of winning? The commentator explained. Cold Turtle, don't panic, use the most powerful Jet Flame, we can beat Steelix. Zyros shouted. The cold turtle nodded its head, and a large amount of thick smoke was ejected from its nose and the shell on its back. The temperature of its body quickly increased, like burning magma. Steeljack, dig a hole. Zahu did not resist anymore, but chose to dodge. Zyos is also a little collector. In 3 animations, he successfully captured all 3 types of turtles. However, because this guy does not know how to use a tank, except for Squirtle, the performance of the other 2 turtles is worrying. The two-tailed turtle was cannon fodder throughout the whole process, and the cold turtle was not outstanding in the home region. However, Zahu knew that, when Zyossi challenged the battle frontier later, the cold turtle of Zyossi and the steel pillarichus Chilo of the Age of Gods had a very exciting game, and they did not lose the upper hand in the confrontation for a long time. Completely burning, you have to be serious. If you resist hard, you will most likely fail, so you can use tactics instead. Steelix quickly dug a hole and suddenly drilled into the ground, disappearing without a trace, making the cold turtle's flame fall. Turtle, get ready to use heavy attack, wait for Steelix to come out, then attack. Zyossi said. Turtle lowered its head, and prepared to attack, the 5 fiery red depressions on its shell gleaming, representing the accumulation of flames. Wait for Steelix to come out? Do you think this is to fight against wild Pokémon? Zahu shook his head. When Zyossi first encountered Steelix, it was Steelix that used digging holes to avoid the jet of flames, and then was hit by Turtle's heavy attack the moment it came out. But the current Steelix is not wild. As Zahu shook his head, Steelix suddenly stretched out from the ground and hit Turtle's abdomen, knocking Turtle over and falling to the ground, and the accumulation of heavy attacks was also ruthlessly interrupted. Remember, under normal circumstances, the foothold of Pokémon using digging holes is under the opponent's Pokémon, so when using a slow-moving Pokémon like Turtle, don't think about attacking when the opponent comes out, but think about how to hide. Zahu said. Brother. Zyossi said apologetically. Now, I'm not your brother, but your opponent. Show me all your strength. Otherwise, this exhibition match will be boring for the audience. Zahu corrected. I understand, brother. I want to tell you that I will win this match. I will defeat you in the next Champions League. Zyossi said, and then shouted, Cold Turtle, go all out. Use Tarzan pressing down. Cold Turtle roared, smoke erupted all over his body, and his limbs moved. He jumped up and burst out with a super speed that was completely not for turtles, and pressed down on Steelix all of a sudden. Raw being suddenly pressed down, Steelix immediately struggled angrily, twisting its hard body constantly, trying to throw Cold Turtle off. Cold Turtle, hold on, use Jet Flame. Zyossi said. Cold Turtle insisted on resisting, pressing down Steelix tightly, not giving up, suppressing Steelix, and the scorching flames covered Steelix's body. Steelix, Sandstorm. Zahu said. Steelix's body spun, and a large sandstorm enveloped it, dispersing the flames all over its body, and then pushed the Cold Turtle away, and threw it back to the ground. Good opportunity, Cold Turtle. Use this opportunity to use a heavy attack. Zyossi said. The 5 depressions on the Cold Turtle's body flashed brightly, and a stream of hot flames suddenly spurted out of its mouth, and the air was distorted. Steelix's eyes widened. Last time, he was caught off guard, and lost to this move. Steelix, Gyro Ball, take it head on. Zahu shouted. Steelix's body, made of pieces of steel, spun rapidly, forming a strong air flow to directly resist the power of the heavy attack. Unexpected command. Master Zahu did not order Steelix to dig holes to avoid heavy blows, but used a frontal approach. Is it because he couldn't avoid it? Can Steelix withstand it? Yes. Zahu answered confidently. Steelix, now is the time. Surpass the past and defeat Cold Turtle. Steelix's body shook violently, dispelling the flames all over its body, and sparks scattered all over its body, showing the silver-white luster of its body. Raw Steelix roared sharply. The terrifying noise was sharp and piercing, making people nauseous, and Cold Turtle looked uncomfortable. Let's end it at last, end the past failure, and crash into it at the cost of our lives. Zahu said. Steelix's speed suddenly increased, and it hit Cold Turtle violently like a big truck. Cold Turtle, use Iron Wall. Zyossi said with an idea. Cold Turtle quickly retracted its head and limbs into its shell, using the solid shell to resist Steelix, reducing the damage to the minimum. Trying to avoid this level, Steel Snake, use your tail to attack the side of the turtle shell, Zahu said. Half of Steel Snake's body had already rushed past the Cold Turtle. When it heard Zahu's command, it immediately responded. Its tail shone with a metallic luster and lashed at the layer of the Cold Turtle's shell. Like a spinning top, it twitched sharply, and the Cold Turtle spun rapidly and hit the wall on one side of the venue. There was a loud bang, and the Cold Turtle fell to the ground with its forelegs up in the air. Its eyes were round, and it lost its ability to fight. The Cold Turtle lost its ability to fight. The referee said again, Master Zahu is worthy of it. Even if Zyros he is the champion of this KIR conference, he still can't defeat Master Zahu's Pokémon. After 2 defeats, what Pokémon will Zyros send out next? Steel Snake is ground plus steel. Pikachu can't do that, and the water type of the Lobster Soldier can restrain the ground type. Zyros secretly calculated and released the Lobster Soldier. The Lobster Soldier danced with its 2 small claws. Although it was facing a Steel Snake that was much larger than itself, it was not afraid at all. But the excitement didn't last long. The invisible rock that Steelix had just set up attacked the Lobster Soldier. The Lobster Soldier's face suddenly hurt, and the excitement immediately declined a lot. Lobster Soldier, try hard, we can win, use Bubble Beam, Zyros said. Hearing Zyros's encouragement, the Lobster Soldier immediately regained his spirit, opened his 2 claws, and emitted a large piece of colorful bubbles, and the super large Steelix attacked. Gyro Ball, Zahu said. The pieces of his body spun rapidly, isolating all the bubbles around. Even if it hit his body, it only made Steelix's body brighter. Master Zahu, you use the Gyro Ball trick again, to isolate the damage of the Bubble Beam. You are worthy of being the champion of Hone. You turned the attack trick into a defensive trick. The trainers in the audience can learn from it. The commentator explained. Steel, sacrifice your life to collide, Zahu said. Steelix's body suddenly accelerated and violently crashed into the Lobster Soldier. Lobster Soldier, get out of the way, use Crab Punch, Zyros said. Lobster Soldier suddenly jumped up, dodging Steelix's attack, and then his pincers shone brightly, hitting Steelix and knocking him to the ground. Iron Tail, Zahu said. Steelix quickly swung its tail and hit Lobster Soldier, knocking him to the ground. Lobster Soldier, get up quickly, use Bubble Ray at close range, Zyros shouted loudly. At this distance, even Steelix would find it difficult to react. Using 2 special moves in a row was already too much. Lobster Soldier opened his pincers, and a large piece of colorful bubbles came out and attacked Steelix. Steelix felt pain, and showed a painful expression. Quicksand Hell, Zahu shouted. Steelix's eyes flashed with light, and a large area around it softened, and turned into a quicksand vortex, enveloping Steelix and Lobster Soldier. When the Lobster Soldier fell into the quicksand vortex for the first time, he was panicked and his claws were forced to be raised high, shooting the foam beams into the sky. Oh no, Lobster Soldier, come back soon. Zyros quickly took out the Pokeball to retrieve it. Tie it up tightly, Zahu said. Steelix swung his body violently and tied the Lobster Soldier tightly. A red light flashed, but the Lobster Soldier was still caught. Okay, Steelix, play freely, Zahu said. Once in the sand, Steelix, a ground type Pokémon, could definitely knock down the Lobster Soldier. After hearing this, Steelix immediately sank into the ground with the Lobster Soldier. Not long after, it flew out again, but the Lobster Soldier had already revealed its circular eyes. It is indeed worthy of Master Zahu's Pokémon. It easily surpassed the attribute suppression and defeated Zyros' Lobster Soldier. Now Zyros only has 3 Pokémon left, while Master Zahu still has 6 Pokémon. In view of Zyros' loss of 3 Pokémon, we will now enter the halftime break. Chapter 375 Halftime Break. Zyro is looking for death. Winning 3 consecutive games with reverse attributes. Is this the difference between Pokémon masters and ordinary people? Citron said. Pokémon can learn special moves that are different from their own attributes, and a good trainer will conduct targeted training according to the situation of Pokémon. So the higher the level of the trainer, the smaller the role of attributes in Pokémon duels. In fact, many times, because of attribute restraint, some trainers are overconfident, and seeing their restraint special moves fail, it is disadvantageous to themselves. Professor Oak, a professional authority, said. So the difference in attributes can be ignored? Eulogia asked curiously. No, in Pokémon battles, attributes are always an important consideration. For new trainers, attributes are more important than anything else, and for elite trainers, attributes are still indicators to be considered, but the importance has decreased, and more of them have evolved into tactics, Pokémon strength, the tacit understanding between trainers and Pokémon, and adaptability. Professor Oak said. Oh. Eureka nodded, looked at Professor Oak curiously and said, Professor Oak, in this case, can't Zyozzy defeat one or two Pokémon of Brother Zahoo? It's not possible that he can't defeat anyone. Zyozzy's growth will not be limited to this level, especially in the first half. Zyozzy should have a different performance. Professor Oak said. Isn't Zyozzy's performance confidence, courage, and bond? Shinji curled his lips and said that, although because of Zahoo's intervention, he was not as cold as in the original trajectory, abandoning Pokémon when Pokémon failed, but the path in the original trajectory itself was the most suitable path for him, so he still took the strict training flow, and the encouragement for Pokémon was somewhat insufficient. These are also the most likely to explode, which is your deficiency. Professor Oak said, you and Zyozzy have almost completely taken two completely opposite paths on the road of trainers. If Zyozzy's love for Pokémon and your rationality in Pokémon training are combined, the achievements will be unlimited. It is because Zyozzy and I have completely different personalities that we have such a path. Shinji said. That's right, there is nothing perfect in this world. Dr. Oak nodded. Shinji smiled slightly. He always respected the elders with strength. He looked at the watch and found that there were about 10 minutes before the start of the second half, so he got up and went to the toilet. After taking care of it in the toilet, he went to the water room to pour a cup of hot water and prepared to go back. When he walked to the intersection, a black shadow suddenly bumped into him. Shinji couldn't react in time and fell to the ground. His face suddenly sank. He looked up and found that the person who bumped into him was Zyozzy, who appeared at the party in the amusement park before. His face couldn't help but look even uglier. Who is it? Zyozzy was also dissatisfied after bumping into someone. When Shinji fell just now, most of the hot water in his hand fell on him, and now his pants are wet. Did you bump into me? Zyozzy glared at Shinji angrily. You bumped into me, you idiot. Shinji looked at Zyozzy with disdain and corrected him. Squeak, hearing what Shinji said, a rabbit Pokémon standing on two legs behind Zyozzy saw Shinji refute Zyozzy and immediately showed a dissatisfied expression and kicked Shinji angrily. Shinji was kicked unexpectedly, and the already dissatisfied expression on his face became even more angry. He took out the Pokéball from his waist with one hand, released an electric shock beast and said, an opponent like you is not worthy of letting the electric shock beast out, but a useless trainer like you who can't control your own Pokémon should still let the electric shock beast out. You are the useless Pokémon. My flame rabbit is my best partner. You have to defeat that guy Zahoo with me and prove to him that I'm the most suitable trainer for you. Zyozzy said. After being defeated by Zahoo's Jenga, he regarded Zahoo as his biggest opponent and enemy, and practiced with the goal of defeating Zahoo. So he gave up his goal of making Mew the first Pokémon, and conquered Flame Rabbit, intending to defeat Zahoo with Flame Rabbit. You are worthy? Shinji looked cold and arrogant, looking down at Zyozzy, as if he was looking at a fool. My LeBlanc is the world's #1 Pokémon, you will see. LeBlanc, use double kick. Zyozzy said. LeBlanc heard the command and immediately ran towards the Thunder Beast. Thunder Beast, split the tiles. Shinji said calmly. Thunder Beast's thick right fist shone brightly, and it swiftly split the LeBlanc, rushing towards it, and punched the ground. LeBlanc's head hit the ground hard, and it was dizzy and the world was spinning. Thunder Beast, use all your strength. Shinji's eyes were slightly cold, and he swept over Zyozzy. Thunder Beast immediately understood, and the powerful electric current on its head gathered, violent and disordered, and vented out in one breath, turning the LeBlanc under its fist black. and the excess current just happened to shock Zioheo next to it. The strong current gathered from top to bottom and fell to the ground trembling all over. After doing all this, Shinji took back the electric monster and looked at Zioheo and said, "With your strength, you will never be qualified to challenge Brother Zahu in your life. In addition, a useless trainer like you is better off not being a trainer so as not to waste Pokémon. Of course, you can keep the rabbit in your hand. It's just right for useless Pokémon and useless Pokémon trainers." After saying this, Shinji walked back to the venue with an indifferent face. He is Shinji, the representative of cold and rational. He will not actively let Pokémon attack the opponent's trainer, but if you dare to provoke him, even if it is a useless novice trainer, you must be prepared to be hit. He is Shinji, not Zyozzy, and he doesn't have so much extra kindness. On the contrary, he thinks that unqualified trainers should release Pokémon and leave as soon as possible. Back on the field, forget everything that happened just now, and watch the game. Fortunately, Flame Rabbit was so weak that it could not be hit. It took less than a minute from the beginning to the end of the battle, so it was just in time for the start of the first and second half of the game. Big Swallow, I leave everything to you. The first Pokémon that Zyozzy released in the second half was also the first Pokémon he captured in Hone. Big Swallow soared in the sky. Although it was hit by the invisible rocket the first time when it appeared, it showed a painful expression, but after enduring the attack, its eyes became sharper and brighter, as if it had not been hurt. Zahu glanced at Big Swallow. Overall, it was not particularly outstanding, but its eyes were full of a unique arrogance and perseverance. He secretly praised it in his heart. It was indeed a legendary bug swallow. Although the attack power was not particularly outstanding, its endurance and physical strength were really ridiculous. It was just a big meat shield covered with the skin of a flying Pokémon. Big Swallow, use Lightning Flash. Zyozzy took the initiative and commanded Big Swallow to kick off the game. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.